What's going on? Happy podcast day, everybody. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Me and Mandem's having a great time, blood. Can I tell you something? I think I'm going to move to London.
Yeah?
I'm having the time of my life. I just love it.
What part are you staying in?
All of it, blood. All of it. I got bare mans in it. So I've been riding the tube to my shows. Which, you know what's strange is like everyone in London tells you to ride the tube, but then when you ride the tube, everyone asks you why you're riding the tube, which is a very strange thing. Literally, I'm on the train every single day going to my show, and then people are like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing riding the tube?" And you're like, "Well, it's the fastest way." Yeah, but I didn't expect you to be riding the tube. Oh, that's so strange. So, what are you doing here? And then one guy's with me on the escalators coming up from the underground, and he goes, "Yo, Trev, I thought they gave you more money than to ride the subway, bruv." But I love it. It's been fun. You know, so I was in Ireland for a day. I love the Irish, man. They just have like I don't know what it is. They have a thing that connects them to us as South Africans.
Oppression and colonization.
You see, I wasn't going to say that, Christiana. I was looking for something more
I love the Irish, but they've suffered. So that's why we get on. I like the Irish too.
Scotland and Ireland, I feel like they feel like 100% my people who just live somewhere else. That's how I feel. And the Irish are the least uncomfortable with a very uncomfortable story. You know?
I can see that.
In fact, Ireland was the first place where I ever told stories about apartheid in South Africa, because I was talking to a comedian and some audience members. We were at a comedy festival, and one of the comedians was chatting to me, and he's like, "So tell me a little bit about your life, Trevor. Like, what have you done? Where have you been?" And I was like, "Oh, this is how I grew up, and this is what I." And he goes, "My God, why aren't you talking about any of that on stage?" I was like, "Well, because it's depressing. I'm talking about apartheid and racism." And he's like, "That's the most interesting thing you've talked about, Trevor." He's like, "Our audiences would love to hear about that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I went on stage the next day and I told some of those stories, and the audiences loved it. And so I'll always credit the Irish for, being the people who encouraged me to just explore the less obviously funny parts of life and the less comfortable parts of living. Because I think, that's comedy encompasses all of it. Life encompasses all of it. This podcast encompasses all of it. That's why we're here, people. That's why we're here. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, look at our guest today, DaBaby. Ooh, DaBaby. Yes, this is an interesting one. Christiana, this is how I know you are my friend, truly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that you'll roll with me, and you have both a judgment and a love and an understanding for me, regardless of some of the decisions I make.
Yes. I mean, I trust it will be okay in the end. Just like I trust you'll do a good DaBaby interview, even though I have some reservations. Well, but I trust I'll roll with you on it. That's why.
Okay, so here's the thing. Some people listening to this podcast have no clue what a DaBaby is. And if you're one of those people, I actually hope you will listen, because I think it's a fascinating conversation that goes beyond his art and the music that he creates. And I think there will be parts of the conversation that'll be very tough. DaBaby has not lived an easy life, nor has he grown up in an easy world. And I think he's been part of making it not easy at times. And if you do know DaBaby, some of you might love him and go like, "Oh, I love him and his music." And some of you might be like, I cannot stand DaBaby. I hate everything he stands for. And I don't know. I've often find myself wrestling in life with the question of forgiveness, reconciliation, and the conversations that we have with people who have either wronged us or wronged, quote unquote, society. And one of the things that interests me about DaBaby is you have someone who has definitely, he's definitely, hurt people, but he seems to want to make amends. And sometimes I feel like he doesn't necessarily have the tools or the aptitude, but he has a willingness, and I'm a sucker for willingness.
Yeah, I know that about you. You're definitely a sucker for some willing, even if they're not able.
Yeah, but
I think he's. I don't know about the willing part, and I'd love to learn more. I would say that before, all of his controversies, I was a big fan of DaBaby. I still think he's so talented.
Yeah.
Just the music is brilliant. The music videos, just so artistic. So I came to his music as a fan, and then I think perhaps it was fame, perhaps it was environmental, but a few things happened back to back, and you're just like, oh. And then it kind of culminated in the incident at Rolling Loud Festival, where he was quite homophobic very publicly, even though the crowd seemed to be enjoying it. What was going on in that crowd? But and since then he's kind of been a pariah, but I think he's coming back into public life. And there are some people that feel he hasn't been accountable enough.
I'm intrigued by how people get to where they are and what informs not just the decisions they make, but the people they become. And DaBaby's one of those people, because I loved what you said. You became a fan of his and then discovered things. And I sometimes wonder how many times people aren't given grace because we don't know what we don't know about them.
Yeah.
And then when we do discover things about them, they're lucky enough that their past or their present doesn't sort of catch up to them,
Yeah, and it wasn't just his kind of comments. He also has kind of this history of violence. And I do want to say that sometimes, this is not to absolve him for any responsibility for the things he's done, but how much is that linked to how he grew up, right? Is that where the violence come from? I'm curious about that, but I do think we live in a world where violent men are able to get away with things with little to no consequence. But, who knows what consequences he's faced, both personally and professionally, because of it.
The question I would have is, how willing is he to grow? Does he want to grow? Does he need to grow? And then more interesting for me is, what is everything that has affected him? Like what are the ingredients that have come together to create DaBaby and who this human being is? That's what I'm really interested to get into with DaBaby is, who is the human being behind the actions? All right, yo, let's jump in with DaBaby. Let's see how this goes. DaBaby, welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here. Appreciate you having me.
I think for this conversation, what I really wanted to get into is understanding you as a human being, to understand a lot about you as the artist.
Absolutely.
You've had an outsized influence on the world. Someone who has 21 million followers just on your Instagram, but what your music has done, what you've embodied, I think goes far beyond that. And so let's start with that. I'm always intrigued by how an artist chooses their name and what that name means to them.
Absolutely.
Why DaBaby?
Well, I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My mom has 3 sons. I'm the youngest sibling out of the 3 sons, and not only that, like early on, I had the name Baby Jesus.
Okay.
And this is as a local artist, you know what I'm saying? But my mom didn't feel good about that name, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they like, no, absolutely not, no. But I'm like, my whole thing with it was like my purpose being, to do for others, you know what I mean, and not myself. So that's my responsibility, you know what I mean, on this earth. Like,
I would love to know what your family was like and why that has been such a driving force in your life. So you were born in Cleveland,
Ohio.
Right? Raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. So moved there when you were 7 years old?
Yep.
Was there a reason you moved? Was it good? Was it bad?
Oh, it was a great thing. I commend my mother, you know what I mean, for changing our environmental situation, even though Charlotte itself is it's not a walk in the park, you know what I mean? Not at all, like not even a little bit.
What was your mom like? Like, what was she strict? Was she a disciplinarian?
Absolutely.
Was she
Absolutely, but also fun, loving, nurturing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all about her sons. Like, all about her sons. I remember her email was "My 3 sons, Linda." Like, everything is my 3 sons, my handsome son. She's all about just uplifting us.
So she was proud of you from the beginning.
Absolutely, especially me. Like, I got the smile like her, the 2 dimples. Like, I resemble her the most. My brother, don't get mad at me. To my brother, y'all got mad at me enough growing up, but like, I'm my mother's twin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
right.
Sweetest woman on earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you the shoes off her feet. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't have them, even if she didn't have another pair to put on.
How did she punish you?
She
like, if you did something
she
wrong,
whooped our ass.
She
you know
whooped
what I'm saying? Excuse my language. No, she whooped our ass. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. Like,
What was the worst whipping your mom gave you?
Oh man.
Like, I remember mine. The 2 that I hated the most was, I had 2 types of whippings that my mom would give me. One was the chasing whipping. Mm-hmm. That one was one where I was trying to get away, and she would just follow me. It was like a tornado coming after me. And then the other one was, I tell my mom till this day, I go, that was like it's like a war crime. She would send me outside to get a stick from a tree.
A switch.
You call it a switch.
It's called a switch. Absolutely.
Call it a switch out here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she would send me outside to pick my own punishment.
Absolutely.
I always said I hated being an accomplice to her crime. Everyone knows their worst. Like, what was the worst whipping that
was one of the ones that that was always, that's like adding insult to injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you try to find the tiniest little stick and
those
come
are the
in,
worst,
and it's
though.
like, oh no, go back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, go back. So definitely the ones with the switch and the extension cord. With landline phones.
Oh man,
you can hear
the extension cord.
When you can hear it. And one thing about my mom, like, one thing she always, like, she was very adamant on, like, not feeling sorry for yourself. Like, no, like, when we used to get whoopings, like, we weren't allowed to cry. The whooping isn't over until you stop crying. You
wow.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, that's it. Because it's like, you know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying?
How did you I feel like everyone has a different experience of this as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know why you were being whipped and
Absolutely.
so, but did you think that it was right, or did you go, this is the worst thing in the which way did you go? Because I feel there's always 2 types of kids.
I knew right from wrong, and it kind of tickles me sometimes, because like, with the way that I'm perceived, you know what I mean, by the public, like, I was the good child in my house, like, you know what I'm saying? In my household, I was an angel, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was an angel. So, I'll say that to say, like, the environment that I come from, the household I was raised in, like, every day, it was like, it was war, you know what I mean? Like, growing up was a challenge for me, you know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about those challenges. Like, I grew up in South Africa. Mm-hmm. We had our challenges. They're very different, and yet I find in many ways very similar.
Absolutely.
To many experiences that Black Americans had.
Absolutely.
We all have our hood. Mm-hmm. We all have the dude at the corner. Mm-hmm. We all have the dice game.
Right.
We all have the shootings. We all have. Mm-hmm. It's strange how familiar and
Absolutely.
yet how different the worlds were.
On different sides of the world.
You grew up in this world where, you have a mom who, by all accounts, is religious, is driven,
Absolutely.
is focused, is loving, is also a disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. She's keeping you in check. Mm-hmm. And she moves you to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're growing up in North Carolina, I've read a little on your story. I've listened to some of the interviews that you've had. Mm-hmm. It seems like you lived in a strangely hybrid world where, on the one hand, you had a few opportunities, but on the other hand, you were in the streets. And I'd love to know, how did you end up in the streets? Did you find the streets, or did the streets find you?
So a lot of those elements, like, that you list, like, you got the hoods, the dice games, this, that, you got the alcoholics, drug addicts, all of that. One thing with me, and I take my time speaking on this, because I never discredit the superhero that my mother was and still is. You get what I'm saying? A lot of those elements, like, that, most people have to go down the street to see, or venture off, or don't go over there, go to places their parents tell them don't go to see. They were in the household with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would be watched by my uncles, who are either alcoholic, drug addict.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
This or that.
Right.
Like, real deal drug addicts. Like, not, my grandmother's house directly across the street from the crack house. That's what they call them, a crack house.
Yeah,
so it's drug addicts, prostitution, 24/7. Like they're up 4 or 5 in the morning. They're up the entire night, out the entire day, roaming the streets. Like a lot of these elements, they were like right there. But at the time, like growing up, it just seemed completely normal to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's
it's
something.
hard. It's hard though. I mean, it's hard. You know, it's interesting. I grew up in a very religious household.
Absolutely.
Many of the views that I held growing up were completely shaped by that religion.
Sure.
Over time, they've shifted and they've changed, but that was the core of my foundation. I also grew up in a very African household.
Right.
So those are some of the ideas that I held and I maintained. And it's interesting that you've now brought that up because you know, you have your dad from afar, giving you wisdom, you know, contributing to your life, but he is from afar.
Right.
You know, you have your mom who's working all day, all night to make your life just, you know, what it needs to be, just to keep
roof over our head.
to keep a roof over your head.
Right.
And unfortunately, you're in an environment where you're surrounded by drugs, violence, alcohol.
Absolutely.
You know, you can name it. I mean, people can imagine it, but when you're in it, it's a very different experience.
It's extremely different.
There are two types of responses to this. There are people who will crumble because of this. And there were people who they'll become galvanized by it, and they will fight within it. I feel like you're the latter. I feel like you're the kind of person who saw opportunities and saw ways to thrive within that world.
Absolutely.
What was the first moment where, this is long before you're DaBaby, you know? I mean, you baby Jesus, you're the little kid in the family, you know? But
and even with that name didn't come until.
Oh, that name didn't come till much later. So
much later. That wasn't a childhood.
So at this point, you're
name.
still Jonathan.
Childhood, I was John.
You're just John.
John, or Hard Chocolate was another nickname.
Hard Chocolate.
Hard Chocolate.
Okay, so you got John or Hard Chocolate. What was the moment where the streets took you? What was that life? What were you doing? Where were you going? What, you know? There's a moment where it snaps. I remember the first time I had what was my first encounter with the police? First encounter with the police was my friends and I had like a replica gun that we had with us, and we were stupid. We were thinking maybe we'd be. I don't even know. We were like, maybe we'll be gangsters. I don't know.
Right.
But that was like our first encounter with the police. I mean, we'd get arrested for throwing block parties that were illegal. We would.
Right.
But you always remember your first. What was your first encounter with the police? What was it about? What was happening in your life?
I don't even know if the police were involved, but I remember I was in 4th grade, 3rd or 4th grade, but I bought a pocket knife to school, and I was showing it off to some girl.
You know, I brought a pocket knife. I got expelled for bringing a knife to school.
I'm so glad they expelled me.
I got expelled.
They suspended me for a day.
That is wild.
I showed it to a girl, and she told on me. They suspended me for a day.
Oh, I got expelled for that one.
They didn't. The knife was already gone when she told them. Thank God she waited probably to the end of the day to tell them, because I probably would have got expelled too. But then that would have messed up my little school record, because I was straight A's like all the way until like high school. I mean, nothing less than a B for sure. I didn't get a C till maybe high school.
You know what? That is one of the paradoxes. So I don't know what it was like growing up where you grew up. Where we grew up, I found there was a conflict. There was a clash between the streets and school.
Right.
If you did well in school, guys would be like, you're goofy. Guys would say, you're a punk. Guys would,
right.
And so
right.
there was almost this element of, you don't want to do well because you don't want to be perceived as somebody, you know, who somebody can step up on, somebody who can be, you know, taken advantage of. You are a strange mix in that, because you were proud of your straight A's, but you're in the streets as well. Was there ever a moment where violence came into your world?
Like, it was there. It existed.
Oh, this is just a daily thing.
Violence was in my world as when I'm 3 or 4. Like I see it's in the household. Like I see my uncles fighting each other. My brothers, you know what I mean? Like with me, like every day, like it was like that. Like, you know, I was the baby boy. Like I was the one. They'd lock me in the closet, bang on the doors, act like Jason's here, the boogeyman's here. These types of things. Like like I used to piss in the bed because I was scared to get up to go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that type of thing. We're all sharing a room, but violence is, it was very much there. Like while my mom's out working all these long hard hours, like my brother, he's probably 10 at the time. 20, 30 older kids in the house, you know what I'm saying? Like, like
did you ever see a dead body growing up?
I've definitely been around shootings and all that for sure. the first time death probably was around me. A certain situation had happened with one of my family members, and I just remember it like it was yesterday that we were like sat down and told, when you go to school, because we're little kids, you don't speak about this to nobody. You don't ever bring this up to anybody. I literally never have. You know what I'm saying? Like to this day, you know what I mean? But that's the first time I remember it, and I had to be maybe like I think I was in middle school. I don't think I was in elementary school. I think I was in middle school, but it was early in middle school. Yeah. Had to be like 6th grade, 7th grade. 6th grade, 7th grade.
Do you think you had a full comprehension of what that was?
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah, I knew exactly what that was, but just in terms of violence, like...
Were you scared ever?
I was scared all the time, every day, but as a child, you know what I mean? Like, my mom's not at home. And then, you know, like, elementary school kids, they get out of school first. Yeah. So I had a house key at, like, age 6. Like, I'd let myself in, you know what I mean? Like, I'd come home and let myself in, a 6-year-old. You know what I'm saying? When I look at my daughter right now, being 6 years old, I'm like, wow, like,
I can't believe I was going through that.
Oh, for sure. And like I say, it didn't feel like I was going through it. It did. It very much did, but it didn't. Like, this was just the norm. I don't know anything outside of this. You know what I'm saying? But I say that to say, like, you know, when my brothers would come home shortly after, they come in, go right back outside. They leave me. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? They go right back outside. So I'm in the house. Like, that's probably one of the reasons why I'm just so self-sufficient. I had to be. You know what I mean? Like, I had to be. Like, I had no choice. You know
right. There are many moments where you're raising yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm feeding myself. I'm making my own food. You know what I mean? All that. And one of my uncles, they have a story that they tell us where, because one of my uncles doesn't do drugs, right? Hardcore drugs. He drinks. Doesn't do hardcore drugs. But where he tried to beat one of my other uncles with a baseball bat because he had me with them in a crack house smoking crack. Like, he had me with him. I was like 2 years old. You get what I'm saying? Like, these types of things, like, that's what I come from. And it also helps me understand why I'm set up the way I'm set up as a person. You know what I'm saying?
That's fascinating that you have that level of self-awareness to understand how much of you has been shaped by the world that you were in.
And that's newly. These are all things that I'm beginning to notice, like, within the past couple years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I notice most of this stuff when I come sit down with people because I've never been to therapy.
Is therapy is that allowed in hip hop?
I utilize I mean, several people recommend it too. I believe, you know, I believe it's something that would be, like, extremely healthy for me. That's why I always lean towards, like, interviews, especially, like, early on, like when I first popped in the mainstream, and when I sit down with somebody, you'll get so much more out of me than probably, like, the average person, because it's like, you know, I'd walk out of the interviews like, damn, like, those are stories I've been waiting to tell. I almost forgot about them. Like, it takes for, you know,
you've buried them, and then you wait for somebody to ask you.
That's what I did with my childhood.
Buried it. Yeah.
That's what I did. I buried it. All those memories, like, that's what I did. Like, so I know how to, like, bury things.
Yeah, let me ask you this. As somebody who grew up in a household, and I'm speaking about myself now, I grew up in a household where, you know, there was a lot of domestic violence. I grew up around...
I was around plenty of that.
I grew up around, you know, uncles who were violently drunk. You know, you see it. You go through phases. You're afraid. You're terrified. You freeze. You know, everything you're speaking about, I can relate to. And there's also one emotion that you don't realize you're having because you don't have the power to have it, and that is anger.
Right. Suppressed anger.
I can only imagine there was a lot of suppressed anger inside you.
For sure.
Because you are the baby. There's a lot of the time you don't have control.
Yeah, you got sibling rivalry too. That's a whole different category.
Right. So you're dealing with just brothers on their own, but now you're also dealing with uncles, you're dealing with the streets, you're dealing with a world that
brothers who are angry about this same world that I'm living in, but they're actually older than me and able to process it. So it's hitting them. You know what I mean? Even harder than it's hitting me.
How did your anger manifest
Without
itself?
the support of a father. That's the difference too. Like, I'm the baby boy, and I'm the one whose father is in his life at a distance.
Okay. So your brothers didn't have that?
No.
Oh,
and
okay.
growing up, like, you can see, like, you see the difference between me and my brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that was the defining factor?
My oldest brother committed suicide in 2020.
Damn.
So when you say, like, I remember, you know, maybe like 5 minutes ago in the conversation when you say, you know, like, some people, they crumble, or
Yeah.
you know, these types of elements in their environment and just their upbringing destroys them. Like, you see the difference, like, between, you know what I mean, how I dealt with it and you know, like what I was able to, blessed enough to be able to turn it into, as opposed to, you know, like it ultimately being like my brother's demise, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Do you think your dad was the defining factor?
Absolutely.
You think that made the difference?
Absolutely.
What do you think it was about your dad being in your life, even from a distance, that made the difference?
Just always just putting something on my mind and just showing me something different, like always. And I don't, you know, I'm gonna keep having to like go back to saying, like, I can't discredit like the job that my mother did.
No,
She
of
did
course,
amazing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she also has to allow him to be able to do that. Like,
Right.
a mother has to make a way for that to happen. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, she has to. No, call your father right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, she.
What was tell me a little bit
Because
about.
at times I'd stray away
Yeah.
from it. Like, I wouldn't
Tell me a little
answer
bit
the
about your
phone.
dad, though. What was his life?
He was
what
in
was
the
he
army.
doing? He was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He went to the army when I was born.
Oh, this is
So
interesting.
he was in
Okay.
the army for like 10 years straight until he like injured his foot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he was at all those wars, Afghanistan, Iraq. I'd get the pictures of him. I used to love the pictures of him with the guns. And I'd show him off, have him on my wall in my room. I used to write him. That's why I'm such a good writer. I'd write him letters back and forth when he was in the army. He's really at war. I had to communicate with him through letters. You know what I'm saying? And he'd write me. I'd write him back as a child. Like, he'd tell my mom, let him write me. I'd write him back. He'd like grade my papers like an English professor, like red line it, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you know, like punctuation corrections, everything all throughout the paper. And he wouldn't even let me like use slang. And he's from that too. He's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
So he's,
But he
you know
wanted
what I mean?
you to
Yes.
be more.
When
He
I'm
wanted you
with
to be,
him,
yeah.
you know, he'll relax a little bit more with it, and you know what I mean. But while I'm over here on my mom's side, because it's a whole different, you know. Yeah, it's a completely different cloth over here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like he's very adamant on just making sure, and it made the world of a difference. You know what I'm saying?
Your music career is public. Your music career is well known. You know, so I won't delve into that too much. What I'd love to understand is behind the scenes.
Right.
As DaBaby, you start blowing up. Your music starts growing. You start building up a fan base. You start making money. You start experiencing success. What confuses me is how violence still stays a part of your world.
Absolutely.
You know, this is something I've learned changes depending on where you're from and the hood that you're in. Is like, is how you respond to conflict and how conflict is expected to be dealt with.
Absolutely.
You know, so
that's the
right. So in South Africa, for instance, in South Africa we have different hoods. You know, so we had like Alexandra was one township, and then Soweto is where my grandmother's from, and you have Tembisa, etc. And we'd even know, we'd go like, oh, cats from that hood, they'll stab you
For sure.
Cats from this hood will break a bottle on your head. Cats from this hood will shoot you. Like, we'll even say like, those guys shoot, those guys stab, those guys. But you almost know what type of violence is either expected or probably going to happen to you in those worlds. It feels like the world you were in was a gun environment, right?
It was all the above.
It was all of the above.
Absolutely.
So when you're growing up, do you think to yourself, all right, there is only one way I can defend myself? Do you know that there is an ultimate conclusion, or like how does DaBaby exist in this world? Trying to be you whilst acknowledging that you're still in Charlotte and you're still, because you're successful now, you're an artist.
This is DaBaby, like this is in early on, like
not as a child but as an adult.
Okay, yeah. I mean, one night I was getting ready to go to the club. I didn't go. Everybody else went. I'm like, I'm tired. I was asleep. I hear the door get. I don't even know this until after the fact. I hear people screaming. That's what I feel like woke me up when I jumped up. I hear people screaming, "Where is it? Get down! Where is that? Where is that?" Shit like that. You know what I mean? And I immediately grab my gun, come out around the corner. It's like 6 people with masks and guns. You know what I'm saying? They're looking through the boxes. I had like different posters with different pictures. Like, I had all my promo material out, like in the front.
Yeah.
It's like a condo type of apartment where it has stairs in it, and
yeah.
you know what I mean, you can come in the garage from the top, but you don't know that if you come through the front door down here.
Yep.
That type of situation. Maybe 3-4 bedrooms. Me and my brother were both staying there, and I come around the corner. It's like maybe like 6 people. You know what I mean, with masks on. This is like, you know, 2 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning. Maybe like 6 people with masks on and guns creeping around the corner. Some of them looking through the boxes with the posters. The closest person when I turned the corner was as close as me and you are.
Damn.
Yeah, when I turned the corner, wielding a gun, you know what I'm saying? Like creeping, like having it down low. I'm the same way when I turn the corner. Boom, shoot, spin back around the corner because I'm completely outgunned. Like it's, like I immediately see, you know, as soon as I turn the corner, it's several bodies in here. All in all black, all got masks on, all of them got guns. I turn the corner, shots just rang off, boom, 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 boom. I go out through the top and open the garage to where, because of the side street to where you can walk through the grass or the little sidewalk, get to the front door. If I come up through the top and I come out the garage, if I look to the left, it's literally like right there. I just have to cut through some grass and it's right there. And I can hear them, you hit somebody, and they jump in the car, pull off. You know what I mean? That's the first shooting incident. But whatever, like it's Charlotte, it's normal.
Whoa. You say but whatever. And this is sort of what I'm trying to understand and what I'm trying to get to is, I hear your but whatever. But it's also not whatever. Do you know what I mean? What I mean by this is, like, a few things. One, you know, you hear the commotion, you hear what's going on, you grab your gun. What I wonder sometimes, whether you think about your life, because I try and think this about my life, and I think many of us don't, is how abnormal some of our normal actually is.
Absolutely.
You know, the fact that you think there's a possibility this is happening. You know,
right.
The baby's not walking down the stairs going like, "Hello, is anybody there?" You know what I mean? You're going. You're immediately going.
When I tell the story,
I know what it is.
Feel like God woke me up and put my hand on my gun.
Well,
like,
there you go.
Get out there, type.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That tells me the kind of world that you're living in, to think that that's a possibility. You know, the fact that you then go through the motions the way you do tells me that this is a world where you believe that it's a possibility.
Absolutely. Day in and day out.
Once, let's say, post that event, there's trauma, there's fear, there's everything. Obviously, you have the fight or flight. So fight kicks in first.
Yes.
But there's got to be a moment where you go, I'm not safe, or there's got to be like... the
bullets, the return gunfire just missed me. You know what I'm saying? It just missed me. I feel like the difference with me, like I don't, you know, it in terms of how do I deal with violence as opposed to how people expect me to deal with violence. Like, you know, in my upbringing, it's like your only option is to, you know, defend yourself.
Right. So you have this world where you genuinely believe, and maybe validly so, that anytime anything can happen. Anyone can step up to you. Anyone wants to test you. Anyone. This is an environment that
not even necessarily test, like.
And so what I'm trying to understand and trying to get to in your world is sort of an understanding of this, because you see what you just said now is interesting. It is not a test. You're dealing with very real situations.
Absolutely.
Do you, in this moment in time, do you feel like you're a safe individual? Do you feel like you're do you feel like you're beyond it now?
Never.
No?
Like I can walk outside right now and anything can happen to anybody.
But who would the anything be, and who would the anybody? And I mean this honestly.
There's no way. Like I'd have no way of knowing. You know what I mean? Like I'd literally have no way of knowing.
But would it be the streets coming back, or would it be what? Like what is it?
What makes somebody do something wrong doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? Somebody could be having a bad day and, you know, and step and trip over your foot accidentally on the way in the store, and
the next thing you know,
they turn around and kill you. It turns into you know what I mean, a fight or a life or death situation. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this though, based upon what you see, is a beautiful segue to this question. You are a parent, and you're a proud parent.
Absolutely.
You talk about being a father. You talk about what it means to you.
It's my favorite thing to be.
Oh yeah? And there is a valid argument that it is about the environment and it is the world that you're in. What is the world that you want to see, that you're creating for your child? What is that world? How different, or how do you make that world different? You know, because I'm assuming you don't want your daughter knowing that as a reality. I'm assuming you don't want your daughter thinking of that as a possibility.
Not necessarily.
You want her to be aware of it, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, and that's the word I was going to use. Like, it's just being aware of the world that she exists in, which she already is. Like when I got into the situation and a guy was shot and killed in Walmart by me, my daughter was right there. She's right there, 1 year old.
How did she process that?
She didn't. She didn't. She probably doesn't even remember it. Her older brother definitely probably remembers it. You know what I'm saying? She's 1, so he had to be, 5 at the time.
Yeah.
He's her age. He was a year younger than what she is now. If she saw it now, she would definitely remember it like it was yesterday.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Of course, like it's completely traumatizing. Like it's, you know what I mean?
How do you speak to your kids about that? You know, what do you say after that situation? For real?
I don't. Now, immediately after, I just pay very close attention to them. You know what I mean? I've definitely had a conversation with their older brother. My daughter wasn't even really talking at the time. She was, but it's like,
but with your son though, what's the conversation?
It's just more so just checking on him, seeing how he himself processed it, not telling him how to process it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like not telling him how to process it. And, thank God he was one aisle over from me and he didn't actually see it.
Right.
So he hears boom, 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 and sees an entire, Walmart store evacuate.
Yeah.
A fire alarm's going off, the little siren going off, like he sees it. You know what I mean? He sees mayhem. He hears the conversations immediately after when I come back over to check on them.
Yeah.
Like he sees it all. You know what I mean? He's very aware. Like he hears people talk about it. Of course. Like
so then, what happened in Walmart? Like what?
Yeah. That's what I attempted to do. Originally was de-escalate the situation with my words, but that isn't, what the opposing side of the situation, that isn't what they wanted. They had different intentions, and that, that just goes back to like what I'm saying. Like you never know. Like I'm in Walmart buying diapers and
But you don't know this person, right?
No, hell no. From a can of paint. I'm in Walmart just buying, shopping
do they
for
know
kids,
you?
baby shampoo, shit like that. Absolutely. Yeah, they know me from being the rapper from our city. Like the rapper that's in our city.
Okay. So that altercation starts off because this person is
curious as to what they see, somebody that has something going on, like from the environment I'm from, the city I'm from, like the person who has something going on, it's like, fuck him. Like it's immediately, I remember seeing like a Biggie interview, where he's like, growing up, like we'll see the person drive by with like the nice cars and the jury, and it's fuck that nigga, I kill that nigga. Like, that's how it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like people, they target, success. A lot of people with nothing to gain. Like I remember the media, like when it happened, like reports were flying around saying that they attempted to rob me. They didn't. It was never a robbery. It wasn't, I had nothing to rob me for. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a robbery attempt at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was I don't know, an ego thing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know.
But
if they wanted to test me,
that's what I mean.
That's what it was. It was a test. Like, people see, a person admired, a certain way or perceived a certain way, and they want to test it. They want to know, okay, what makes this, and what I think it is, you know what I mean, is this like, why do they deserve what they're working towards? I don't even have it yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not at the same level, but I found it exists in all professions. Comedians, what we experience is people always try to test out funny. I know this is ridiculous, but people try and test out funny. They go, let me see if I can make him a fool. Let me see if I can make. So I'll go out, I'll be at a restaurant, people will do the stupidest things. Sometimes it's the person serving, sometimes it's the person who's at a restaurant. They go, let me act the fool in their life because I want to see if I can out fool. And I go, but that's not what I do.
That's not what I do. Right?
I've seen this happen to, like soccer players. Someone will see them in the street and go, oh, I have a ball. Let me go and see if I can. Let me see if I can throw it in front of the ground and see if I can. But what's interesting is hip hop is one of the few professions and worlds where it is tied to something that is a lot more real and a lot more dangerous. So the test that I'm getting the test of a fool. I'm getting the test of a joker.
I'm getting the test of a gangster. Or you get what I'm saying? Like
that's a difficult thing about hip hop that I think a lot of people don't understand. And while I don't condone it, I don't like it, but I go, it's a very real thing.
It's very real.
It's very much.
It's dangerous to not know how real it is. It's dangerous to not know. You know what I mean?
There you go.
It cost several rappers their life. Right. You know what I mean? Time and time again. So.
Right. I'm going to ask you a question that may be ignorant, but I know a lot of people will ask it because they're not familiar with the world. A lot of people would say, but DaBaby, why don't you leave that world? Why don't you go live in another neighborhood and just escape it all? There's no shootings in Westchester, DaBaby.
Right.
There's no shootings in my part of Connecticut. Why don't you escape that world? How would you respond to that question?
I hadn't made it out of the city yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. When those situations took place, like I hadn't made it out of the city. But, to put it into perspective, like I've been, you know, in the middle of shooting incidents on Collins Avenue in Miami Beach.
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying? Like that is where you want to move to. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you never know, you know, when violence is right there in front of you. Like, you just simply don't know. It's all about the type of day somebody's having, or the way. It's more so about how you move throughout these different environments. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. It's about knowing how to move no matter, you know, where you're at, you know. But when you have the magnifying glass on you that artists or entertainers have, especially rappers, right? Hip hop artists, you know, it comes with a world of people who feel like that is for this type of person, what makes him deserve that, and they immediately, you know, they feel entitled to what you have going on, or they feel entitled to the idea of you having to go through everything they're going through in order to exist in that space. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, and that's where you get situations where like people are willing to come, you know, approach a guy with his 2 kids and their mother in a grocery store in Walmart. You know what I mean? With no intent. Like, you know, it make more sense to me if they thought I had a large amount of money on me or some jewelry and they were attempting to rob me. This guy just died for nothing. You get what I'm saying? Because his friend, and that's what I'm saying, it's about knowing how to move, and a lot of times it's about the people that you got with you. You know what I'm saying? Because that guy died for his friend that night. Because his friend approached me. You know what I'm saying? His friend was the catalyst of the situation.
Were you sad that he lost his life, knowing, because it feels like you have a certain level of understanding for his world?
It was sad, but yeah, it was definitely sad. Was I sad? I can't sit here and honestly say I was sad. I became more aware of, you know, I was reminded once again, it was more like, you know, reassurance that, hey, you never know what's going to happen, and you have to, you know, be prepared. You know what I mean? Had I not been prepared, had I not been, you know, legally possessing a firearm, you get what I'm saying? Like, had I not been prepared, like, I would have had a gun pulled out on me, my 1-year-old daughter, her 4-year-old brother, their mother, and then I would have just been at the mercy of however they're feeling or whatever they decide to do. And these are people who clearly don't walk around making good decisions. You get what I'm saying? But that's what I would have been left with, you know. And but ultimately, you know, most importantly, I would have been left with the responsibility to protect my family in that situation.
What you said about moving between worlds. You said you move from one world to another, not realizing that you don't understand the other world, and there's a level of ignorance that you move into it with. DaBaby blows up in hip hop, becomes an icon, becomes somebody who's setting trends. You know, you're not just a music maker, you're a trend creator. You then accelerate that growth into a world where you are now on mainstream media, the SNLs, you know, the Rolling Stones, you're on covers, the
Grammys with you.
The Grammys with me. You know what I mean? You're in this world.
6 nominations.
Doing your thing, right? And all of that comes to a halt, or a lot of it, because not all of it really, a lot of it comes to a halt when one day you're on stage and in the middle of a performance, you start saying things to the crowd, you know, about AIDS and gay people, and I mean, you just, as I would say it with friends, if I was talking colloquially, I'd be like just shooting off at the mouth, just, you know, you just going, and that sets into effect a series of dominoes.
Immediately.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone like that up. Fellas.
Lights up.
Fellas, if you ain't sucking dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone like that.
Let's be real about this shit.
Yeah, keep it fucking real.
So let's break this down in steps and in stages. You know, because when things are happening to us, they often happen so fast that we cannot process what is happening. And I think from the public's point of view, oftentimes people consume something and then there's another story and then you move on and there's no real processing of anything. So let's start with the actual incident. You're on stage, you know, you go into this moment with the audience where you're saying these things. What was your intention in that moment?
just to have everybody do exactly what they did, just to put their cell phone lights up and, you know, create a transitional moment in, you know, in my set, in my performance.
But why
was it.
Why do you think you said what you said? Where do you think it came from?
I mean, what I said was, I mean, it was, I said it so naturally and without any ill intent, but at the same time, like, you know, on hindsight, definitely. And it didn't even have to be that far behind for it to be on hindsight. Like, I learned immediately, like, you know, I'm speaking the way I'm speaking, ignorant to the way that it'll be perceived with me being the person who I've grown and worked to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, it's not, like I say, it's completely unintentional. Like, and not once did I even mention, you know, a gay person. Like, I didn't even say anything about a gay person. I'd mentioned if you don't have AIDS, fellas, I said if you didn't perform oral sex on somebody in the parking lot, put a cell phone light up. All of these are just things to, you know, to somewhat get you, not somewhat, to very much so get you to just put a cell phone light up, in which literally everybody did. Like, I don't, you know.
So this, you see, now this is what I'm trying to get.
Everybody there.
That's what exactly. So this is what I'm trying to get to.
But I'm just in a space to where, like, I'm not like making excuses for it.
No.
And I just feel like I just should have been so much more aware of the fact, first of all, that it's being live streamed and and you know that this can potentially be used as you know, used as a vessel to just paint my character or assassinate my character or just paint it a certain way, you know what I mean? And that's just, it wasn't what it was. But in terms of like how I responded to, and I think that was more detrimental than what I said itself. Yeah. The way I responded to the backlash that I got. You know what I mean? The early backlash, the first wave of it. Like, I kind of like took it as a joke. Like, this got to be a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, this can't be, like, y'all don't think, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is just another attempt to, you know what I mean, for the media to, you know, to knock me off of this pedestal that they feel like I'm on. Me, this felt minuscule to me. Like, this didn't feel like something that needed to be, you know, responded to from a place of me being worried. Like, I felt like the second I say, no, that's not what I meant, like, that should have been understood and boom. Or if you were there, you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they should.
Let's take a step back then maybe and go through each thing. Okay. If you have grown up in hip hop, I will be honest, I will be a person who says this, and maybe this will now bounce back on me. But Hopefully I'll be honest. No, but I'll say this. In hip hop, there's a lot of language that is used. There are a lot of ideas that are used that is like, it's like surface level, and we have to admit is also homophobic. There's a lot of homophobia and racism, and I'm not trying to make you solve all of that. I want to talk to DaBaby, not everybody about everything, right? Because I think you're one individual who is part of something. But you can't deny, you know, whether it's, you know, black community in Africa and in North America. And I mean, even the white community, I mean, you know, it's oftentimes black people get singled out. But I feel like homophobia is something that has been rampant throughout time and then slowly has been evolving over the past maybe 2 decades, really, in our lifetimes. You look at from the 80s to now, there's been a huge jump and it's still not complete. Absolutely. But in that moment, it feels like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like to me, you're on stage, you're saying something that feels reflexively funny, and just like engaging with the audience that they're, because as you said, they engage with you, right? Absolutely. Okay. They engage with you in this moment. You're having a good time. It does go outside of that bubble, right? And as you said now, you're aware of the context outside of that. People then say to you, DaBaby, you're homophobic. DaBaby, you hate gay people. Why would you parrot these ideas? You know, it was that people speak out. People speak out. I understand you were offended. I understand that you were hurt. Nobody wants to be labeled as something that they don't see themselves as. But was there also a part of you that understood why people were saying that?
At the time, no. Okay. Like, I was, you know, I literally did not understand. I made it clear that I didn't understand. You get what I'm saying? Like, because it's, you know, and a videographer that works very close to me, right? He was going through just hard drives. I've been recording my entire journey since I've got serious about it. And he's like, bro, I'm watching it, and you said the same thing before at a show. Like, I said it before at a show, right? When I'm on tour, but I'm not the top streaming artist in the world. I'm not the top streaming rapper in the world at the time. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, I think that's the difference. Like, I got a completely new world of people who look up to me. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who
No, I hear
support
you.
me. You know what I mean? Who buy my music. You know what I mean? Who, you know, they're like they literally look up to. I'm probably what they put. My music has probably helped them get through certain situations. You know what I'm saying? What have you? You know what I mean? And I'm unaware of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm aware of it, but I'm unaware of the way that, you know, certain things that I would normally say that wouldn't even, you know, not even normally say, like, that's, you know.
No. But I think look, and
something that I would say and look at is like,
but
okay,
but
no,
I mean
that's
this,
normal.
and I think we have to be. I think we
have
have to be honest about that's why. That's why I think we won't get far, and not just the two of us, but I think in society, the reason I don't think we get far with a lot of these conversations is because we're not honest enough about. So to say that DaBaby is an outlier, I think is a dishonesty.
Right.
But to say that what DaBaby did is good is not. It's like for me, it becomes a symptom. It goes like, oh shit, that thing now got exposed to the world.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, all right. DaBaby showed a little bit of his world to the outside world, a bigger world than he normally does, and now he's dealing with those ramifications. It sounds to me like you are stepping into a world where you're understanding this.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
But now here's the thing I want to know from you on a personal level. And maybe it's too personal, and if it is, forgive me. But like, do you think that your experiences since then have helped you understand? Do you feel like you're becoming more tolerant? Or do you think you've been more defensive? Like, this is just you as a human being. I'd love to know how you've responded to the criticism, or how you felt. Like, as DaBaby, what do you want to be more of now that you're on the other side of that? You know.
What do I want to be more? So
because you're saying you didn't think think it was homophobic at the time when you said this, right?
For sure,
right?
For sure.
And you said then, but you said now you
and it didn't even take all the way up until now. Like, even, you know, over a year ago, I'm like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
When I see, you know, like when I see, you know, like how detrimental it was to my career and my journey and everything that I worked that hard for, like, just when I see the amount of manpower being put behind, you know what I'm saying, like, just shining
but do you see how
light on this narrative, I see like, wait, no, that was in what I say is impactful. Like,
but what I'm saying is, do you see the impact that it has on members of the gay community who many of them are fans of yours? Like, do you also see that?
Absolutely. Like, I see it. You know what I'm saying? I see it, and you know, altogether, like, I'm ignorant to the fact at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I'm ignorant to the fact. First of all, it's, you know, I didn't intend to offend anybody. That's the first step. And then, you know, once I did, understand, wait, I offended people. I'm ignorant to, like, you know, how I offended them. I know you're offended, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
immediately after, you get what I'm saying?
Interesting.
And I know I didn't mean that, but like how much I offended them, or like how impactful, like, you know, something that I say is, you know what I mean, at this level that I've worked. And that's the thing. I didn't wake up and they're like, okay, look, you're a role model. You're the face of hip hop right now. Like, I was literally damn near the face of hip hop, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like, I wasn't aware of how impactful, like, my words can be, because I say, and you know, and this is not an excuse. This isn't me deflecting or anything, but like that on that stage, I also said something about probably a shooting or this or that, but that wasn't, you know, like, that's not perceived that way. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, that's just me offering, like, an example of how somebody can get why I didn't immediately get how. So
actually, let's go into that, because that is interesting. Do you feel like people take the shooting, let's say if you talk about shootings, or if you talk about, you know, anything like violence or anything like that, do you think people take that with a grain of salt, but then they take the homophobia as being truth? Like, they go like, and I won't even put homophobia on you. Like, they'll go like, oh, those statements, they go like, that's your truth, but then the other stuff is you just messing around. Is that what you say you feel?
Absolutely. That's what I know. I mean, that's, you know, I'm a walking example of that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, it's okay for me to say these types of things, but this is like, hell no. Like, I wouldn't dare even say anything remotely close to it now, like, in private or public. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, my entire world was shifted by that. You know what I mean?
The public knows oftentimes how it wants to flog somebody. The public knows how it wants to punish somebody.
Right.
I find the public doesn't often know how it wants to reconcile with somebody.
Right.
I would like to know from your perspective, A, do you feel like people engaged with you on a level, and this is like everybody from inside the industry, from outside, do you feel like people engaged with you on a level human to human where they helped you understand? And then B, do you feel like there was ever a path to redemption for you to like change and grow? Or do you feel like it was DaBaby, you're cut off, this is who you are, and you're done?
The latter of the two, for sure. I feel like it was more so like no, you're done, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. Now the difference is like, you know, you got one or two decisions to make to let, you know what I mean, a mistake define you, or to you know, put in the work necessary to, you know, change the narrative bits and pieces at a time, you know what I'm saying. Like, it is what it is. It's, you know, I don't feel entitled to, and this goes back to earlier in our conversation. It's a beautiful thing. I was always taught to never look for sympathy, never look to make somebody feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
Like, so that just goes to like my reaction to it taking, you know, the turn that it did, you know, the turn for the worse that it did. Like, I have had it instilled in me that, you know, you don't make people feel sorry for you. You know what I mean? No matter what you go through.
No, I hear you there.
That can, you know, almost like heighten, you know, people can look at that as ignorance or arrogance, as opposed to me just being, you know, the person that I was raised to be. You know what I'm saying? That I have to go through experiences like that to understand. Okay, look, sometimes you might need to do that immediately. You get what I'm saying? I know that now. Yeah, I learned something new.
In a way, it's like you took the whipping essentially.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I'm gonna like when I used to get whoopings, I couldn't cry. It doesn't stop until stop crying. You keep crying, boom, boom, but stop crying. Like, so this is what, you know, like when I get a whooping, I got to take my lick and I carry on. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I do. In that situation, that was looked at as he doesn't care. He's that much worse of a person, like that type of thing. You get what I'm saying? When it's really like, you know, I care enough to keep going. Like, that's what somebody has to understand. Like, that's, you know, it's very few that care the way I care.
Well, that's what I was.
That ends people. Like, they'll never be sitting across the table from you.
Exactly, and that's actually. You see, it's funny you said that, because that's exactly what I said to the team. Is I said, what intrigues me about DaBaby is this: he has every opportunity to stay immersed in a world that will fully accept everything that he has done.
Absolutely,
and yet he keeps on insisting on trying to both explain, reconcile, and deal with what has happened, and that intrigues me. And so now you've explained that to me as a person. Before I let you go, though, I'd love to know where you go from here. What now? You know, summer came around. You had a song on the Billboard Hot 100. You know, you're still making good music. You're still a fantastic artist.
Thank you so much.
You know, I hope for you as a human being, genuinely, that you'll continue to grow. I do think you should look into therapy.
No, for sure.
From one brother to another.
No, for sure.
I promise you it'll change. And for
it's
your
something
kids.
I've been on. I've
so
been,
can I?
You know,
I'll share this with you real quick before I ask you about the future. So my mother was shot by my stepfather. Right? She survived, thank God. But one of the biggest things I regretted, and I always talk to my mom about this, is the fact that myself and my two younger brothers never went to therapy to deal with it.
Right.
My youngest brother was, I don't know, maybe 6 years old when it happened. Mistakenly, my mom thought he doesn't fully process and understand it.
How old were you?
I was 20. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
I was in my 20s. Maybe even touching 30, yeah, but 20s, I think, late 20s. And then the middle brother, the one who drove my mom to the hospital, he was a teenager at the time. And honestly, one of my greatest regrets is that we didn't know at the time how powerful and impactful therapy could be in helping us not just deal with, but unearth some of the traumas that we hadn't dealt with.
For sure.
You know, some of the angers, some of the fears, some of the, you know. And it don't get me wrong, it's a scary thing, it's a crazy thing. And also therapy has a stigma attached to it, you know. But I personally, as a human being, I would encourage it for you, and especially your kids, because you seem like the kind of dad who wants them to have 10 times what you had. You know, you want her to have all the A's.
Yes.
I honestly believe that. And so I'd love to know where you go from here. What now for DaBaby?
So professional with me, the next step would definitely be venturing into film and television, for sure. That's something I've been passionate about from the get-go, really from the beginning, maybe even before the music, you know what I'm saying? And you know, what I what I bring, it's like the same thing that gives me somewhat of, I won't even say the upper hand, but a different perspective or an interesting perspective that can't be found anywhere else, is my life experiences that I've been able to, you know what I mean, navigate through. And these are like a lot of the things that I implement in like my music videos from day one, you know, all the way until now, to where I have other artists and major labels reaching out to me to direct videos for, you know what I mean, artists that are signed to major labels and things of that nature. You know, I got people who have like, you know, the top rated, you know, television shows and, you know, filmmakers, like they can't wait for me to, you know, give them, you know, what I got going on inside of this brain of mine, you know. So that's what I'm on. And not only that, like just solidifying a safe space for my kids to, you know, somewhat, because my kids have pretty much been born into this, right? You know what I mean? Like just, they've been around it. Like my daughter can direct, you let her make a TikTok, like her perspective is just like, she's amazing. You know what I mean? She's musically inclined, like, you know, like it's just amazing. Like she's an amazing little girl. But it's just, you know, making sure that while I'm here, which I've been doing from day one, but, you know, literally like solidifying, like, you know, a position for her to do, because she's grown old enough, you know, for me to begin to see the things that she loves early on. And that she, you know, I got something very, very special coming up with me and my daughter, that I just know, I don't even care how the world feels about it, like, because she's in love with the idea and I'm in love with it. And, you know, we get to do something, you know, at a high level, you know, together. So that's gonna be beautiful. Like I'm so excited about that. So excited about that. Therapy, you know what I mean? That's definitely something. Conversations like this is therapeutic. When I sit across from people like you know, I already know, okay, boom, that's gonna be a therapy session ahead. Like I love it. You know what I mean? Like I just love people who have compelling conversation and who just come from a place, especially you. Like the more I talk to you and just knowing like your real life experiences and, you know, things that you've been through, you can understand my perspective and, you know, my setup as a person and my character from a place that, you know, a lot of people just simply can't. Like I always felt like that's my purpose. Like I feel like the way my career has played out thus far is that's exactly how it was supposed to happen. Like, because even at the time, like, you know, with this and me as a person, like that's very big, the therapy and just finding an outlet for all of the feelings and emotions and experiences I've suppressed this entire time. Because even during the fact, like, okay, I'm the top streaming artist in the world. I'm you know, one of the like go-to live performers, you know what I'm saying? Definitely like top of the, you know what I mean, the food chain. But, you know, I also, my brother just killed himself in front of his daughter, you know what I mean, just months before then. You know what I'm saying? Left 4 kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm the head of the family. Like I'm responsible for so many people, you know what I mean, emotionally, financially, you know what I mean? Like I'm just responsible for so much and so many people, and this is me, but this is also still me being a person who grew up, you know, and having to suppress emotions, feelings, these types of things, and having it instilled in me to never let anyone feel sorry for you. You get what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I hear you there.
Never let anyone feel sorry for you. So that was like the main thing. And, you know, and I saw, you know, my brother like looking for sorrow, like on a live stream, just, you know, seconds before ending the live stream and killing himself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, this is my world as I'm going on that stage at Rolling Loud. You get what I'm saying? But I still went on the stage, gave a hell of a performance right up until, you know, that life-changing moment, that pivotal moment, career-changing moment, life-changing as well. You know what I'm saying? But this is like, you know, I understand even with that, like my reaction to that, because, okay, now it's like they're telling, like, it's like they're making me take the lid off of that jar that I've just suppressed all these things in. You know what I mean? If I'm going to tap into that space, and I just feel like, you know, the world just got like, you know, the bad end of a ticking time bomb, you know what I mean? That's what I was. Like I was just a ticking time bomb the entire time. So I feel like the way that situation played out, man, it was healthy. It was so needed, because I'm such a hot commodity, like, and I'm such a hustler, workaholic, that I'm using my hustle to just, to help me suppress. I'm just staying busy to help me suppress all of these feelings, you know what I'm saying?
And not dealing with what's happening underneath.
Absolutely. And what's happening underneath is very real. This is, this is as real as it gets. That's my worst nightmare. Like, it's never been about me. It's my people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've lived through my worst nightmare while being the at the time hottest artist in the world, top streaming rapper in the world.
Right.
Not just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, man,
so it's my plate was full, but I'm not one to complain. I'm gonna grab my fork, my knife, and my spoon. I'm gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is, especially when eating makes you forget about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
hear you.
the
pain of the stomach ache ahead of time.
But as I say, man, from one human being to another, from one brother to another, I hope you take a moment to acknowledge the stress, the pressure, the environment, everything that it comes with, and know that, honestly, maybe, and I hope you don't make me regret this. I'll be honest with you. From me to you, don't make me regret this moment, DaBaby.
Got you.
I'm rooting for you.
No, for sure. I
hope the best for you.
I'm that type of person.
I hope you'll become an icon. I hope you'll become somebody who makes the world a better place.
I will.
I'm rooting for you. Don't make me look bad.
I got you.
People are going to play this interview and be like, he vouched for him.
For sure.
I think you're beyond everything. I think you are truly someone who can rise to the greatest heights. We've seen your work. We've seen what you're passionate about.
Appreciate that.
You're an amazing parent. Keep doing your thing. Avoid the guns. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just me.
I hate guns.
That's just me. That's just me.
I hate guns.
Yeah, but I appreciate you, my dude. Thank you for the time.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you so much. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Welcome, friend. How are you?
Thank you. Nice to see you. This is exciting to do this without headphones on. Like, I so don't do podcasts where you go and sit with people.
I'm shocked that you leave the house, to be honest.
I don't do it very often.
Yeah.
Only for you.
Can I tell you, I really take that as I was thinking that the other day. I was like, John doesn't go anywhere.
That's correct.
I met you not going anywhere.
It's one of the worst reputations to have, because when you do show up somewhere, people are just like, what's going on? Like, it almost feels like your parents have come home and
That's
they're like,
hilarious.
why are you here? And you're like, I am allowed to go out. I just mostly choose to not.
Have you always been that way?
Yes.
Why?
It's one of the reasons I think I got into stand-up. I am which seems sort of contradictory, but I'm very introverted. And so I don't get energy from socializing.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm the same. Okay.
You're the same.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm the same.
So, like, when I was younger, I would bartend to give me the illusion of being out. So I worked in bars forever because you felt like you were out.
Yeah.
But you didn't have the idea where you had to, like, sit with somebody and socialize. You were doing something. So you could focus on task at hand. Comedy, same way. You show up, it's a Friday night, it's a Saturday night. People are out there on dates, they're having fun. And what are you doing? I'm looking at my notes. Was that? No, I'm going on in 5. I can't. So I always prefer that.
Huh. Okay, here's the thing. I'm like that, but I don't prefer it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All my friends, I think I've strategically chosen because they push me and kick me out of the house.
Oh, really?
Like all of them. Every single one of my friends.
So modern communication has very much, for me, quantified the extent of my isolation, because your phone will tell you numerically how many people tried to get a hold of you that day on your text or on your emails. And when I tell my kids, they just feel like, do you live in a bomb shelter? Like, what, I'll be like, I got 3 texts today. And they'll be like, all day, 3.
Yeah, but you've always been a Luddite.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you've always been a Luddite.
This isn't going well.
This is going great. What do you mean? This is going great.
I'm being exposed.
No. You know what I think it is? It's funny. Look, I mean, I only really came to the US properly when you brought me, You called me.
I called you on the phone.
It's still the most random call of all time, John.
And still the one that I still don't understand. I called up Trevor. I saw your stand-up. I saw like 2 minutes of your stand-up. And I was like, that guy could do my job. This is very upsetting.
What stand-up was this? Because I was only doing like South African stuff back then.
No. It was a special that you had done.
From South Africa, though.
I believe it was from South Africa. But I watched it. I've been doing this for a long time, and we always have tapes, and we're always looking for new talent. And there was a authenticity, but also an insight. Like there was just, you had it. Son, let me tell you something. I don't know how to define it, but you had it. It wasn't the dimples. It was a whole other thing. It was, no, I just remember the material was so like insightful.
Oh, man, thank you.
But like, and there was a warmth. There was all these things that I thought like, oh, that dude, like that doesn't just happen. You can't fake that. You can't, there is a certain level of artistry, craftsmanship, those authenticity, those things that come together and you smell it like immediately. And also the converse, like I can pop a tape in and go like, oh, the audience is nervous for that poor fella.
Oh yeah,
like, take that out. It's sort of like, what is it? Dave Portnoy's One Bite, Everybody Knows the Rules. Like same thing with comics a lot of times. Like One Bite, Everybody Knows the Rules. And you watch it and go like 8-6, 9-2. You had that. And it's rare. And I'd watched enough tapes to know that it was rare. And I go, who's that guy? And they go, this guy, Trevor Noah. And I go, let's have him do this show. And they said, well, he's not from here. He's from, let's call him. And I was like, I'm Willy Wonka. And I'm about to call this dude and blow his fucking mind and say like, son, your ship has come in. And so we called Trevor and we're like, Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, New York City. And we'd like you to come in and do a bit for us. And you're like, well, my world tour doesn't end for another 2 months. And I was like, and it took me a while to figure out like, oh, this opportunity is an enormous constriction of Trevor's visibility and a giant pay cut.
No, but you know what it was for me? No, you know what it was for me, actually. I'll say this. I was ignorant, but I'm happy that I'm really pleased that I was ignorant.
Right.
So I've never told you this. So I never knew who you were, right?
Right.
So you called me, and which was also crazy. You called me, not like an executive producer. You called me directly. I've told this part before, but like I'll never forget. I was in Harrods in London, the mega store that sells everything to the richest people in the world. Not because I could afford anything.
I was having tea with the Queen.
I wish. I was staring at an underwater scooter thing, like a moped. You know, like the old school submersible things?
Yes.
It's like that.
A thing that only 3 people in the world have.
Exactly.
And 2 of them are sultanates. Yeah.
I'm staring at this. I'm looking at the price. I'm going, how long would it take me? But where would I keep it? I don't live near the ocean. But this was just the culmination of my life's everything. And almost in a perfect way, my mom always says, ask God and God will respond. I went, God, how would I ever be able to afford this underwater moped? And my phone rings.
Now, does your mom know God was a Jew in this story? Does she have any sense? She'd been cheering for the wrong team.
My friend, Mom, what do you mean? My mom converted to Judaism long ago.
What?
Yeah, my mom's been like
she might have taken my place. I got out of the business at 13, so I don't.
So you call me, and this was like, I think what I remember most about it was the comedy of the conversation. Because you called me like, hi, can I please speak to Trevor? Trevor, I was like, oh, speaking. You're like, hey, Trevor, this is my name is Jon Stewart. I'm a comedian from New York City. Jon Stewart. You said you may or may not know me. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know you.
Yes.
And you said your wording was so specific and it was so funny. You said, nor should you have. Nor should you have. It was so self-effacing. I loved it. You said, nor should you have. And then you said, well, I host a little show. I run a little show in New York City. It's called The Daily Show. And I was like, oh.
Pause for applause.
No, but then I said, oh, I've heard of that show. And you said, as you should. As you should. And I remember in that moment thinking, I don't know who this person is, but I've talked about this with every comedian. Comedian. There is a silliness that comedians possess. And you know when I felt it, like, I remember when I did Comedians in Cars with Jerry.
Yes.
Right? Jerry said to me, I am yet to meet a comedian who answers another comedian's phone call in a normal voice.
Yes.
We all have like a, Aruga!
Right.
Johnny boy! Well, hello. There's just like comedians, we it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
There's a silliness.
I always answer as the Queen.
There you go.
Always. Hello!
You see?
No, Jon Stewart's not here right now. But I'll see if I can rise.
This is what I mean. So it's almost like it's the badge that we have at work, you know, like, can you come in? Yeah, I'm a comedian. Here's my badge. So I go, this man is definitely a comedian. I know nothing about his world.
Yes.
I think I've heard of The Daily Show. And the crazy thing for me was, I think you know this part just from the world, but you don't know from me. The Daily Show had the international edition, right?
Yes.
Right? They used to be
CNN, I think.
on CNN.
Yes, like it was a news show.
So in my world, you used to come after Christian Amanpour, Richard Quest,
Right.
and like a bunch of other CNN. I mean, the internet, and you know, the international one wasn't like the US. It wasn't just talking heads that shout at each other. It was very welcome. This is CNN.
Yes,
Hong Kong markets have opened, and CNN is on the ground. Right? It was
the actual news that goes on around the world. The thing that Americans are utterly and blissfully unaware of.
When they were reporting live
Yes.
from Beirut. It was live in Beirut. It was that's CNN.
And then once a week.
And then this man would come on. And I think I saw you maybe twice, but you left an indelible impression in my brain.
Why is he on
Because
CNN?
I didn't know what was happening, but I remember thinking, there is no way this man is going to keep his job. I don't know when I found him in this journey, but he's not going to keep his job because you and the news, and then you told a joke, and then the audience laughed, but then at some point they like sort of groaned, and but I didn't know there was the Daily Show. And then it went back to normal news. They were like, all right, now it's time for someone, it's Africa Focus, here we go. And I remember thinking, damn, that guy,
He's gonna lose his job.
he's gonna lose his job.
It's why context is so important.
You know, you say that,
Yeah.
but can I tell you, I genuinely believe one of the things that has happened, a lot of people ask me about cancel culture.
Right.
Always. I'm sure they've asked you.
Always.
And the thing I keep saying is, and I genuinely believe this, I don't think there's such a thing as cancel culture. I think people criticize someone if they don't like them. I think people have more platforms to criticize now.
Yes.
Right? Before, people would write a letter. Like my mom used to do that. She would write letters to the broadcaster.
In Upset.
Yeah. Like
Yes.
the one
Letters to the editor.
One I
letters
remember
to-
was she wrote a letter. There was a South African, our Arby's, essentially, in South Africa. And they had a hamburger. And the ad was Handel's Messiah. Right? So it's like, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. It was that vibe, right? My mom only knew that song as a church song.
Right.
And this woman looked at me and she said, did they just
Sacrilege.
sell a hamburger using the Lord's music?
Yes.
And I didn't know it was classical music, neither did she. She wrote a whole letter. We mailed it together to the broadcaster. Wow. They responded very kindly and they said, hey, actually, this was not a Christian song. It's been co-opted by religious organizations, but originally, da 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 da. And she read the letter to me and we sat there together like, wow, I was maybe, 10 years old, 12. But I remember even then being like, damn, we just learned something today. This is new. But to that point in that world, context is everything. And when I think of like cancel culture and comedy and all these things, I go, most of the time, comedians would be telling a joke in the context of a comedy space.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
You're on stage, the audience is sitting there. We all know this is comedy. So if you look at an audience member and say, I wish you had died on the Titanic.
Right.
They know you're in a comedy space.
That's right.
Now what happened is they take that joke out of the comedy space.
Right.
The algorithm sends it to somebody whose grandfather died on the Titanic.
Oh, that's dead on. That's so fucking brilliant. That's exactly it. And even the people that know the context do that same thing because they want to weaponize it to hurt you.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that happened in the rise of social media are those whose livings now depend on stirring the pot.
Yeah.
So I used to do a bit, this must be 1996, 95, something. It was about the Jewish community and the black community. Jews and blacks, why are we so mad at each other? Come from the same history, 2,000 years of abuse. We just expressed our sufferings differently as people. Blacks developed the blues. Jews complain. We just never thought of putting it to music. Second. I did a whole thing. My grandmother wrote a blues song. Gee, it's drafty in here. The whole thing. And then there was a bit about Jews and blacks. We shouldn't fight each other. We should get together and get whitey. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong crowd. I'll go online now on like VDare websites or like white supremacist websites.
No.
my face like in like sort of as gray as they can possibly make it in the thing. Jews and blacks should get whitey. And then like this Jew thinks that, and they know, of course they know, but it's their way of, it's an intimidation tactic. But what social media is like when we do a gig, whenever you do a gig, there's always people that aren't digging it. Yeah. You feel it.
Yeah.
You work the, cellar. There's always going to be a couple of tables that are like,
yeah. There's always the plus ones.
That's right.
There's the people who came with a friend, didn't necessarily come for you or the comedy.
That's right.
And they're like, let's see what happens.
We're not down.
Yes.
It would bother you in the moment. Then you go upstairs, you have a plate of hummus with your friends, you start goofing off, all that stuff, and you walk away. Social media is, after that show, then you have to ride home in the cab with them while they talk about how bad you were.
I love that.
And that's, so it's there to...
Man, that's such a great analogy.
It's there to get you.
It's
there, and it works. People say like, you should ignore it. It's sort of like, hey, let me ask you, if you're walking down the street and someone yells your name, do you turn around?
Yeah.
Like, of course you do. You're fucking human.
Yeah.
So you try your best not to allow it to infiltrate the parts of you that are more stable, but it's very hard to just,
I think it's very unhuman to do that.
Of course. And that is the economy that's grown up around it. So what they do is they try to find the thing that they think will be most upsetting. Now, obviously it loses its efficacy after a while. Like, for me, the funniest part was, like, my dog Dipper died. I don't know if you ever met Dipper. I used to bring him to the show. Three-legger. He's the greatest dog in the world. He died. I announced it on the show as a blubbering idiot, and people on social media started responding very positively. So I did a thing I never do, which is post some shit. Here's some pictures of me and my family when we first met Dipper. We met him at a shelter down on Crosby Street. And people started in the comment section of those pictures responding with pictures of dogs they had lost. They're sort of, so the first picture was like, this is, Coco, our Cavalier King Charles. I hope that she and Dipper are playing at the Rainbow Bridge. And, this is Mr. Muggles, our Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
And then the third one was, why did you change your name, Jew? Oh. And I was like, oh, right. Ugh. It's got nothing to do with their lives are, whatever it is, either financially or emotionally, that's their job.
But some of them, you know what the worst thing is? Some of them aren't even real. That's the scariest thing, John.
Quite possibly.
No, like...
But a lot of them are not only real, but become famous.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But I think that's what makes it sad for me is when we go to context.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen to you. I spend a lot of time analyzing online. I don't spend time actually online. I don't care for it much.
Right.
But I love the behind the scenes machinations of it, you know? So I sit with engineers. They teach me about algorithms. I sit
Really?
Yeah, I love this. I love this. Love it to bits. And one of the things I've really loved is seeing how information gets disseminated, but specifically sent to different groups of people for like a really distinct purpose, you know?
Right.
And then I started, they showed it to me even on the tiniest things that you and I have done, for instance.
Right.
So I hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You have as well. Half of my Correspondents' Dinner was played on Fox News, was played on conservative sites, was everything I said about Joe Biden, the Democrats, MSNBC.
Yes. If you've lost Trevor, they really were.
It were.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought I'd say this, but
I agree with him.
This is quite funny. I guess that's what happens when you get him away from the Daily Show writers.
Right.
Then, looks
finally,
like
those woke fuckers.
You know, I guess every now and again he can be. Ironically, it was the Daily Show writers that I was with.
Oh my God.
I mean, you roll with the crew. So, but it was, and then on the other side as well, people got the clips,
right?
But they show who they sent it to. It's so weird. It's like it's not a.
They send it to people purposefully.
Yes, but they also send partially. That's the key thing. I think that's the most
Right.
insidious. So back in the day, Jon Stewart is at a desk and Jon Stewart says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
You see that? You might not like 3, you might not like 7, but you saw that this man counted to 10.
That's right.
Now what they do is they go, take the 7, take the 3, send it to all the people
Right.
who hate John for saying those numbers. The other numbers, let's get it to these people, and we're going to split that. And so now what happens is you have a world where people hate other people, not because they know them, but only because they know them by a fraction of the thing they are saying or doing, which I think that's like, it's even more terrifying because...
Absolutely. Well, it's also what it tells you is the principle is merely conflict. The principle is outrage and conflict. But, you know, I always wondered where social media fit in. You know those videos of like a squirrel decomposing? Like where the squirrel is the content and you just see over time, you're like, every single part is going to be brought back into nature. Some of it's going to go to the ground as nitrogen. That's what's the economy that we live in terms of ideas is not really an economy of ideas. It's an economy of fragments of ideas that are not cohesive or coherent or contextual, but they are monetized. And the aggregators come in. Something I actually wanted to throw on the show on the Mondays is this idea somehow that social media resembles in any way free speech, or that it resembles in any way the town square, because those are neutral vessels that you fill with ideas. So let's say I go to a town square, and it's a place where people come together, and it's an amalgamation of ideas and thoughts and things, and a gathering spot. So I come in and I go, Severance. Oh my God, Severance is so good. And then a couple people come over and they hear about it and they want to talk about it because they've got some opinions on it. And then one other person walks by and goes, "You're a Jew." And I go, "What?" You go, "Yeah, no, you're a Jew. You changed your name. You're a Jew." And I go, "Oh, yeah, no, we're talking about Severance." I go, "Yeah, no, I was notified that you were here and I just wanted to come in and go, you're a Jew." That's social media. That's the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
So then I go, I think I'm going to leave. And as I'm walking away, the town square goes, "Hey, before you go, there's someone you might want to check out. It's the You're a Jew guy." And these little tribes, what they're trying to get you to do is be provoked so that you stop and you engage some more. The town square doesn't benefit the longer you stay in an argument.
Exactly.
And it's such an interesting idea that we think it's free speech, but it's not speech. It's ultra-processed speech. It's speech in the way that Doritos are food. It's something that has been designed by people in lab coats to get past the parts of your brain that protect your mental health but we don't think of it in that way. We think of it as a pay-in to this right that we have, or an example of the highest aspiration of free speech, when in actuality, it's toxic, designed as such. Whatever the mental version of obesity and diabetes is, that's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
And I've only been thinking about only because of where we're at with speech in this country and how it's been co-opted as this incredible value on the right.
Yeah.
They're only allowing it to go on the right because they view it as helpful to their larger cause, right?
Yeah.
You know, societal ideological battles aren't capitalism, communism, or socialism, communism, or any of those other kinds of democracy, totalitarianism.
Yeah.
It's woke, unwoke. And for them, social media is a powerful unwoke multiplier. It amplifies that feeling for whatever reason in terms of virality. Do you remember it was another, I think it was a hearing where it was Facebook, it wasn't Twitter, and they made Zuckerberg turn and apologize.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
You know, what are you going to say to the daughters up there? I think it was that they had purposefully targeted 13-year-old girls at their low ebb.
Right. And I think it was Instagram that was the worst offender
what it
in that.
was.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, that was back when he had the bowl cut and he was still
This is
like...
before he had the swag switch.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me the Prince Valiant, but not so long. I don't want to look like a hippie. And now they've given them all permission to just stop pretending. Like there's something about this moment that I appreciate because the undercurrent of corruption and the underlying quid pro quo and transactional nature of the way the world works is now just, it used to be hidden, and every now and again they would call them and go, apologize to the girls. And now they're just like, hey, you're all right. And they've made it explicit.
Yeah.
It's now, and without shame, it's in some ways they've come out of the closet. They're finally being themselves.
They are.
And now we know what we're up against, which I
prefer that.
I prefer it.
I always say Trump, for everything he's done or whatever, I go, Trump has been a black light on America's democracy.
Yes. Yes.
So everything...
For someone who stays in a lot of hotel rooms, that is not the analogy or metaphor, whatever I hope you go for there. And now I gotta, he is that thing on your hotel mattress that you didn't know was there, but had slept on for 2 nights.
We're going to continue this conversation right after this short break. I remember when I first came to The Daily Show. This is before this is when I came and I met you and we were doing segments together. You didn't want to be on Twitter. You didn't want to be on Instagram. You didn't want,
No.
You just had it wasn't even like a loathing. It was almost a... loathing at least means you're against it. You almost had this thing.
Yeah. For me, it felt like socializing. I like
being
purpose.
on social media felt like socializing. Okay.
I like purpose. I like purposeful interaction. I like purpose. I like intention. I like projects. I like making things. I like, woodworking, music.
Do you still make furniture, by the way?
I once we moved, I no longer have my furniture making equipment.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Because I heard this about you and I was like, this can't be real.
It's real.
What did you make?
Oh God, dressers.
No, John.
Bed. Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me a little. You talking furniture,
Cabinets.
furniture.
Oh yeah.
Big on.
Yeah. I made our kids' first changing table, and then we took a little bandsaw and cut out. We used to have cats, and so we would cut out the shape of cats in the bottom of it so that they could go in and go into their litter boxes.
Was this? Where did you get this from? How do you just go into carpentry?
The funny thing is you just go into it. So I'm always looking for ways to quiet my mind that are not, in the old days, it was drugs and alcohol, right? Yeah. So, once you wake up in a crack house in East St. Louis at 4 a.m. and go, I think I'm not making good decisions. You try and come up with other ways that you can quiet the noise.
Are you actually saying this? Or
Am I actually saying...
that you woke up in a crack house and...
That's correct. Yeah, this was obviously years ago.
Yeah, I'm assuming many, many years ago.
It wasn't. It's been a couple of weeks. No, it was, I was working...
This is I knew you as a guy who smoked a lot.
Yes. They were all sort of the product of a mind that I had trouble quieting, right?
Huh.
And so when I'm busy, I am healthier. And when I am not busy, I was very unhealthy because, your mind, it doesn't take long for your mind to go from, hey, that was a good set to you failed everyone that ever loved you.
Yeah, yeah.
And trying to find your way. And this is, I'm talking about early 90s, mid 90s, bad. So I had to find other ways. Now, then it was, smoking helped, different things. But I found these kinds of hand to material projects helped me disappear for hours. And it's like, I think what you would imagine a deprivation tank. There's a peace in it. And when you have that peace, when you come out of it, it's not as though the benefit of it evaporates. It stays with you. It keeps you sort of in a grounded state. And so I think that's why I was always like really drawn to it, is I could just disappear in it. And you would build something. So, you know, the tangible part of having something that was the fruit of that labor was wonderful. Like,
Right,
it was a fun thing, but that's not why. The why is the hours of measuring and sanding and fixing and fitting things together. And now I'm finding that in music. You know, I took up drums like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's another form of that. The benefit of just experiencing and feeling this other state, right? My normal state of being vibrates too hot. It just does. I don't know how to stop it. So these things, the old interventions, as George Carlin said, like, they work for a bit, but after a while, don't work.
Yeah.
But you find these other ways. And as I've gotten older, I think the frequency, you vibrate at a slightly less intense frequency. So that helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's very self-destructive to try and stop that if you don't do it in a way that, you know, has an idea towards longevity.
Yeah,
you can stop it.
Yeah.
But the things that stop it are generally the things that also stop you. Like it's in some ways it's a chemotherapy. Like, you know, drugs and alcohol can stop you from vibrating like that, but you have to be cognizant of like, what else am I killing?
Yeah.
You know, these other things stop it in a much more sort of positive, productive, sustainable way. So that's been great.
You've blown my mind.
Really?
Yeah, because I've always seen you, especially in my life, as like Yoda. I call you Jewish Yoda, you know?
He means that because I'm short and
No.
incredibly old, maybe 900 years, and slightly green. I don't know what the lighting's like in here, but the reflection off that
We
plant.
clearly have very different perceptions of Yoda. For me, it was because here I was, this random straggler in the universe.
Right.
I was just like doing my thing.
Yes.
Yoda comes along and goes, hey, I'm going to teach you how to raise a spaceship out of the mud.
But
the
force was strong in this
You
one.
see, I'm like, I don't even know what the force
was-
is. I don't know what the force
You were
is.
tapped in.
Yeah. And then I learned how to use a lightsaber. And then the next thing you know, it's Darth Vader and Palpatine in my life. I'm getting death threats from the Starship Troopers.
You're welcome. What did I tell you? I think I told you once ago, this is, you know, you're going to look at this like, what a great opportunity. And I'm like, but I know the truth. The truth is it's really a Twilight Zone episode where like a guy who has been sentenced to guard this one thing finds somebody that he can hand the key to and go, now it's you.
Yeah, but you gave me something that I think nobody gave you, I think, and that was the wisdom on the other side of it.
Well,
genuinely, you gave me
whatever I had accrued at that point, because I had gone into it so blind.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's
but
what
I also knew no matter how carefully we crafted it, no matter how much you and I like shared about frustrations or look out for this, it's always going to be hard. Like, it's not like that made it easy for you.
Yeah, but if somebody tells you there's a weight on the ground and they tell you that this weight will be the hardest thing you have ever lifted in your life.
Right.
When you go to it and it is the hardest thing you've ever lifted in your life, your expectations have been met. And it doesn't mean that the weight lessens in any way. It doesn't lighten the load.
Right.
But it does mean that you are doing the right.
This is why I knew when I saw you.
No, you're doing it the right way.
Think about things.
Yeah, you're doing it the right way. So you don't. While I was doing it, I wasn't going, this is going wrong. I was going, man, this is hard. The Daily Show is easily the hardest thing I've ever done, like doing in life, genuinely. I've had a hard life, but the Daily Show is the hardest thing I've actively done.
Yes.
That is the hardest, right?
In a work environment.
Completely.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say it blows my mind is because I go, from the time I met you, like people would say, oh man, John used to be rock and roll. But when they said rock and roll, I thought they just meant like leather jacket and smoking. Because genuinely, I've met few human beings who are more, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
First time we were going to do a segment on The Daily Show. You tricked me because you didn't tell me we were going to do a segment.
Yes.
All right. You said, come and hang out. I came to hang out.
Yeah.
We just like moseyed around the office. I'd see you, pottering from one part to the other. You go down to the, field department. You're going to do blah, 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 blah. And then we chat in the moments that you had free. We chat. And then one of the conversations, you said, what do you think of New York? And I said, well, I don't know, man, the potholes. I said, what is this place? And we started talking about it. And you were like, what's it like where you from? I was like, well, the potholes aren't this bad. And we had this whole conversation. And then you said,
great,
we need that on the show.
Yes, that's a good bit.
Yeah, but beyond it being a good bit, you saw something that I would have never seen. And it was a deeper commentary on the idea of America's exceptionalism versus the world and I was just going, hey man, the road's here, not what I expected. So when I hear you saying this, and I think for most people, if they go like Jon Stewart taking drugs, drinking in a hole, and then we see this man who is easily, and I say this to everyone, one of the wisest human beings I've ever met.
Oh, that's very
but genuinely, and not wise in like a I know everything way, but rather in you can look at a thing you don't know and go, I don't know anything, but this is what I think it might not be or be.
Right.
Which is what I think a lot of the time wisdom is. Based on my life, this is how I'm going to perceive this situation.
Right. And take nothing for granted. Because that's, and that's where your upbringing and those things, there is a perspective to be given from, it's a humility, right? If you understand the fragility of everything that you experience, you don't ever get to that place. It's sort of like the way I am with conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists will say like, hey man, I'm just asking questions. And I'm like, you're not actually just asking questions. Because if you were just asking questions, you'd want to listen for the answer. And you'd want those answers. When I talk to those people, they're like, hey man, you're controlled opposition now. You used to question things. And I'm like, I still question things. With conspiracy people, I'm not in any way objecting to their skepticism.
Yeah.
I'm objecting to their certainty, right? If you remain skeptical, but not just of the narrative, but also of the counter narrative, you have to, and that is born of, in my mind, instability. I was born of instability. And so, in fact, I'm going to write a book called Born in Instability. And it doesn't have the same.
Where were you born?
But I was born here, Manhattan, in Doctor's Hospital. It's not even there anymore.
So you've literally just been...
Well, my father was from Coney Island, from Brooklyn, and my mother was from Washington Heights. So up that way. I went to City College.
I struggle to understand a lot of the time. I've spent many years trying to process it, but I've struggled to understand how you could see me and you when on the surface we have such different lives.
Right.
Because I look at what you just did now. You just pointed at your whole life like this,
By the way, let the record show, I am correct directionally.
No, you are.
I am correct.
But what I find, the paradox of Jon Stewart for me is I've met few people who have traveled less and yet have gone to more places. No, I mean this. I know people who have traveled the world.
Yes.
And have no perspectives and have no curiosities and have no learnings from it. So their bodies have gone to another country or another place.
Right.
But their mind and their spirit has not.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And yet I meet you.
And I've been to Buffalo. Buffalo and Rochester.
Did you travel more now? I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, this is good.
I'm just saying that. I don't really. No, I tried to because of the kids.
Of the kids.
As they got older. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And the time and all that. And we traveled more in my diaspora. We traveled more. And so,
What do you mean in your diaspora?
when I
was it?
wasn't doing the Daily Show, when I wasn't doing,
I've only heard of diaspora used like as an African thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big Jewish thing. The Jewish diaspora. By the way, we'll get into that later. The Jewish diaspora thing. I've been really considering this in my head. It's something we can talk about later.
Oh, we should definitely talk about it.
All right. You want to talk about it now?
We'll talk about it right
All
now.
right, let's talk about it right now. So I've been thinking about this. This is in a larger context of good Jew, bad Jew, right? So I'm clearly not religious.
Okay.
I sometimes admire people of faith, but I can't get there. Like, I know it's sort of like faking orgasms for me. Like, there's a certain and I'll do the people will say like, oh, bow your head in prayer. And I'll be like, And then we'll do a moment of silence. But in the silence, I'm really like, I wonder, is anybody, oh, look at that dude over there. I'm not really silent. So I don't get it. But I am Jewish. Like, it just is. It is what it is. And it's born of that. That's my family. They were Jewish. Their parents were Jewish, whatever it was. But this idea somehow, and it ties into Israel, that whatever you were born as, you won't be safe unless you are somehow ensconced in some version of an ancestral home, I think is a really dangerous precedent. I think the idea that we must go home, like, this is where I pointed, that's where I'm from. That's my home.
Right.
Like, I can triangulate where I'm at. This is where I feel most comfortable. This is where I'll always gravitationally come back to. I don't live in a diaspora. I've been to Israel. I was like, wow, that's impressive. I could see why they wrote the Bible here. It looks that's a lot of mountain. That's a lot of desert. Like, but I reject the idea somehow that communities of people aren't whole unless they are able to repopulate some ancient version of where they believe is their source. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense.
And I don't know if that's applicable to the African diaspora, but for me, I think it's a dangerous precedent to tell people that they will never be safe unless they are somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I always feel like, well, then the job is to make us all safe here because this is my home.
Yeah.
That's what I've been.
Chappelle said something to that effect, which I really appreciated. He said, we have to do a better job of making and I paraphrase him, our Jewish brothers and sisters feel so safe that they do not need to defend Israel regardless of what it does, because they feel like that's the only place where they will be safe.
That's right.
Which I think was
because
really
it does. It puts you in a moment where you say to yourself, I have to, because they're fighting for me.
Right.
But that can't be, because then they have to be forced to dehumanize someone else. And that can't be. So it's that cycle of always believing that there is this final move that we all have to make. And there is also a little bit of apocalyptic rendering in all that, which is there are many people who believe like all these pieces must be in place for the final fire.
Yeah, that's a strong incentive that I didn't know about until I moved to America.
Oh, they didn't do that?
No, that was never a thing where I was from. There was no evangelical group who was saying, we need this to happen in Israel so that the prophecies can come to be. I only learned about it when I got here.
What is, in terms of like African religious tradition, right? How similar is it to kind of the different variations that you see here? Is it like, is it proselytizing? Is it sort of, does it have as many different variations?
Yes.
Right.
I'm not a religious scholar. My mother actually is, but I'm not.
Is that why she went Judaism? She actually comparison shopped.
She actually did. I think one of the reasons, no, really, I asked her about this. I said to her, I was like, why Judaism? And she said, I was always seeking the source. I always wanted to go deeper. She's like, okay, if I'm at Christianity, I want to know, but where does Christianity come from? And I'm going to go deeper and I'm going to go deeper. And then, you know what I mean? So now, like week in and week out, it's like her reading the Torah, sending me little scriptures and it's like, I know when Purim is, I know I have to be in the mix. I'm always in the mix in that way, right?
You know, my mother sends me messages about knowing when Purim is as well. Different reason.
So it's definitely as broad because there were so many parts of African religion that were stripped away by colonialism, right? So colonization comes in, a lot of African religion gets stripped away. And so I think for the most part now you have a lot of hybridization.
Right.
So there's still some people who go like, I still believe in my ancestors, even though like strict Christianity will say you don't know. There's no such, God is your only thing you're worrying about. And you don't speak to your ancestors. If you're Catholic, you can speak to Mary, but no one else. And you know, it's that type of thing. So, and that for me, it was because I went to 4 or 5 churches every Sunday. So I lived in this most of my life. We went to, I went to a Catholic school.
Okay.
Right. And then I went to a interdenominational church, but then I also went to an Anglican church and then I went to a Methodist church. You know?
Right.
But the thing I found across all of them is they just have a slightly different bent on one part of the why.
Right.
At some point they have a nexus that combines all of them.
Right.
But the biggest thing I would say that's a difference when you talk about the African diaspora is, I love that you had the bit blacks and Jews because my mom always says that and because I always grew up saying that. And I remember having to explain this once. I was having a conversation with a friend. It was around the time, I think LeBron James had a clip of himself up and a video clip. And he was saying like, we're going to make that Jewish money. We're going to be the Jews. You know what I mean? It was a whole thing, right? And he got, I mean, you can imagine. People were just like, LeBron, this
Come on, LeBron.
Anti-Semitic. And then he put the video down. He apologized. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. And I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in LA. And he said, he's like, man, I can't believe LeBron did this. And I said, I get what you're saying. And I'm not saying don't be offended. However, I think you are missing some context. Mm-hmm. And some of the context you're missing is how Jewish people have been perceived, for the most part, not speaking for all black people, by black people.
Sure.
Because a lot of black people have gone, there is only one other group we know of who has also been enslaved, who has also been like chased out of different parts and places, who have also been ostracized. We only know one group who's done that, who we now perceive to be successful on the other side.
Exactly.
And so I know a lot of black people are going, man, we need to be the Jew, we need to be black Jews. And I was trying to explain to him, I was like, I get it from your perspective. Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. But I hope you do understand that a lot of it in like parts of hip hop and a lot of it in black culture is when we used to get dressed on Sundays and you would go to church, you always had to look good. Your parents would put you in your nice clothes.
Right. Sunday
and
best. Kids
kids in the township in South Africa would say, "Ow, utkogi Jewish," which means you're wearing your Jewish. And they said that because Hasids were always in like a
right.
And, we would grow up just be like, yo, these people are dapper,
long
man.
Black coat,
yo, these people are dapper. So
got your hair on point.
Go get Jewish.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, so that context I think is important. But I think the main difference is, just to go back a little bit, some of it I experienced, and I say all of this with the caveat that I don't speak for everyone ever, right? But I did notice in the United States, there was a similar idea around Africa and African Americans, the motherland, right? Mm-hmm. So there was this idea where people would go, you are not from here, right? People would say, go back to where you came from.
That's right.
And so a lot of black Americans would go, I will never be safe until I can go back to where I'm from.
That's right.
In the same way that you're saying, many Jewish people might go, hey man, I will never be safe unless there is a place that is distinctly and specifically made for me.
Right.
And then what would happen was, a lot of African Americans would come to Africa. And I think on the one hand, they would be shocked by how it's not home.
Right.
But there's one part of it that they would get, which is, oh, this is why I eat this food, or this is why I hum like this, or these are my people who have informed me before I even knew I was going to exist.
Right.
And there's a certain solace that comes in that.
Yes.
And to your point, I think sometimes we focus a little too much on the physical thing as opposed to the real thing.
Yes.
That's the culture. That's the thing that should never die.
That's right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
And that's placeless. That you can
completely
put in your knapsack.
Yeah.
when you try, that's
the thing people try to
nomadic.
wipe out, by the way.
Right. And it's the thing also that, and when it mixes and when it creates something new and unique, beautiful, and it has so many colors to it. And it reminds me that so much of all this, when you say like, oh, they view Jews a certain way, or they might view blacks this way or African Americans this way. No one has discernment for what they aren't. Your only discernment is for, like, I can tell, if I can look at Jews and be like, Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Reform, I can break down. I was in.
I love that. No one has discernment for what they aren't.
You can't. It's the hardest thing in the world because it's hard enough to have empathy for what you aren't. Let alone discernment.
It reminds me of someone said this once. We're having a conversation and someone said, it was a white person, and they said white liberal person, very liberal, very, very liberal, very liberal job.
Upper West Side.
Very liberal.
Although not for the school, not our school. You shouldn't, please.
Well, that's different because the kids, you got to understand, they know each other.
They have to be together.
No, they know it's very
here's
different.
Here's the other thing too, is you don't want other kids slowing them down.
It's
because
it's unfair to them, to be honest.
They want to be gastroenterologists.
It's really unfair.
Max.
It's really.
He's so smart.
And Max loves everyone. And Max loves everyone.
He loves everyone.
Loves everyone. I want him to have more black friends.
He has to.
He has to. He really does.
We shop at Benetton because of the ads. Because of the role.
And we're chatting and this person went, some people cross the road when a black man walks down towards them. It's like 3 a.m. and they cross the road, and I would never cross the road. If I'm walking at 3 a.m. and a black man, you know what I do? I walk, I keep my head up. And it was so funny because it was one white person. It was only black people they were talking to. And then we went, well, I mean, sometimes you got to cross the road. And they were like, what? And we went, well, what kind of black person? And they were like, what do you mean? And we said, well, you see, you're just saying a black person.
Right.
I know for a fact, every black person walking down the street will look at a black person and not just see what you just said, not black person. You'll be like, I don't know if I want to take a chance here. But that discernment is something that a lot of people don't understand cross-culturally.
Mike Huckabee was on the show once, and he was on...
I thought you said Mike Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee. My Huckabee.
My brain for a second...
Huckabee.
Yeah, Mike
Huckabee.
Okay, Mike Huckabee.
I had a Huckabee. He was on, and he was on one of his Jeremiads of culture, and how I think Beyonce had just come out with, it was the album where she was expressing her physical love for Jay-Z.
Oh, so yeah.
My surfboard. And all these things. So he was
riding on that board, riding on that board.
This had upset my Huckabee terribly because of the children, Trevor. The children love Beyonce.
Yes.
And now the children are going to know that sometimes when a man loves a woman very much, they use them as surfboards. You understand. It's a very dangerous precedent that's being set. So he's talking about the terrible nature of this kind of sexually explicit and suggestive. Right? Mike Huckabee plays bass in a band.
Right.
He had on Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent has a song called Wang Dang Sweet Poontang. And he has another song about banging like a 15-year-old girl. The cat scratch fever, something like that they played. And I said, Mike, you love, that's Ted, he's a good old boy, you don't understand. It's just, but that surfboard, I mean, come on, you're fucking, but the sweet poontang, come on. You know Ted, he's a good old boy. And what people don't understand is like, a car filled with black people with a lot of bass on it might scare the shit out of a white person, but do they understand their pickup truck with the gun rack blasting country is something that other people don't understand and are fearful of. But that car could pull up to Mike Huckabee's picnic and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Ignorance is epidemic. Most people aren't malevolent, but we can't discern the difference. I was on LeBron's show, The Barbershop. You know the show, The Barbershop?
Yeah.
They went through, they were all talking about their barbershop. It's like, it was like me.
Did you get a lineup or did you actually get your hair cut?
No.
Oh, okay.
They don't know what to. I don't even know what to. But we're all sitting around and it was, I think, Jared Carmichael and Draymond Green and LeBron and Mav Carter. And, you know, they're telling their barbershop stories and they're like, look at me. And I'm like, I'm only here to collect the rent. Like, that's what we do here. But it was so interesting when we were talking, as Draymond said to me, he goes, Jews, man, you look out for each other. And in the moment, I was like dumbstruck of this idea of like, Jews, we look out for each other, as though, again, somebody who's been faced with not having discernment their whole life.
Right.
Who so easily passes into the realm of, and oh, by the way, I don't either, but that's fine. And that's so much of the issue, is we just don't. It was like in the War on Terror where we were like, you know, we were bombing the shit out of countries before we even knew, like, wait, Shia and Sunni? What?
Yeah.
There's different, what? If we were able to understand that lack of discernment without placing such negative value on it. In other words, if we were more understanding of prejudice and stereotype and less tolerant of racism, we'd start to understand that prejudice and stereotype are functions mostly of ignorance and of experience. Racism is malevolent, right? But the other is way more natural. But we react as though it might metastasize immediately.
Yes.
And so I think we throw up barriers to each other in a way that we're crossing the street before we have to. And the anger that engenders is part of what builds, I think, those walls.
I think it's also because it's exactly what you're saying. But again, more than most countries in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to spread now because of social media. But I think more than most countries in the world, in America, that's been weaponized. So when I was doing the Daily Show, I barely got time to really go home to South Africa. Like, you know, it's a slog, and then you need the time to relax and rest and blah, blah, blah. But now that I've had more time to go back and just like pop back,
Right.
I realized how much nuance I've even robbed myself of because America wants a snap judgment, you know? So America immediately wants you said it, it's over, as opposed to, why did you say it? What did you mean by it? Right. Oh, this is how it can be interpreted. It's slow, it's laborious, it's oftentimes boring, but you know what it is, John? It's context.
Right.
It is completely.
Did you just do a call? Young man.
It's context.
You just did a callback.
But
you just walked us around the park to where we started. For
guy.
God's sakes.
I think
that's right.
Yeah, and I've noticed.
And grace.
Yeah.
I think that's the missing ingredient of context.
I like that actually.
Is often grace and the forgiveness. Going back to Dave, you know, he said something once. I can't remember what we were talking about. He goes, so important, man. Forgive yourself. You know how he gets me. He'll lean in. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And I just thought that was such a incredibly, wonderfully foundational concept. Because so much of getting back to sort of the vibration of the brain that you need to calm is a lack of grace for yourself.
Yeah.
A lack of forgiveness for yourself, for mistakes, for missteps, is trying to discern the context of those missteps and what was done of ignorance and what could be cured and what could you learn, not in a performative way, but in a way that you could then, a seed that you could plant in yourself that you could nurture and grow into something, right?
Yeah.
And that feels like such an important step of that.
It's funny you say that. The most difficulty I had on the Daily Show was when I got into trouble for saying the thing that I wasn't saying.
Oh, really?
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I could handle someone not liking my opinion. I was like, yeah, it's an opinion. We all have that.
That's right.
I don't agree with this. Okay, good for you. Let's have a conversation.
Did you feel it was purposeful, the misunderstanding? Because my guess is some people didn't understand. Some people understood and weaponized it because they saw advantage?
No, I think some people, it was actually the people who I think I was speaking with or for, or, you know, it was those moments where you go, no, what do you mean? You know, it's like you played soccer. You know what it's like it literally felt like sometimes you're crossing the ball and your team goes, you try to clear the ball for them. And you go, no.
I misunderstood. You're talking literally about like your allies.
Yeah.
I get it.
I remember saying this to the team at the show all the time.
Right.
I'd say, if there was one thing I would change about American politics, especially for liberals, is liberals have a really, for lack of a better term, it's like it's a really black and white system of being in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I find Republicans or conservatives, maybe because they're more religious, they believe more in the story of redemption. They believe more in like, you didn't mean that? Well, atone and you can come back in.
That's interesting.
Do you know how many times I heard very Christian people say, I would say, how could you support Trump? And then they would say to me, and I get it completely, they'd go, he's not a perfect vessel. And they'd say, go read the Bible. The Bible is littered with stories of imperfect men delivering a perfect message. And I would be like, damn. And I would envy that for liberals, because I would go,
right.
You know how many times liberals would not consider the possibility that the person they are in lockstep with slipped or tripped or didn't even
actually be an imperfect person.
You might find they did something that made sense and it affected you in a way that you thought. And
so here's how the liberal mind fights back against that very message. So as you're talking, right, it's about the grace of faith and how it teaches you to forgive and to feel redemption through imperfect vessels is such an important part of growth. And as you're talking the whole time, I'm like, the Bible, talks about slavery. I mean, the Bible, it's literally instructions for slavery in the Bible. So, I mean, you use that as so you immediately, and it's a flaw, but it's a thing in my mind. And it's why I'm so faith resistant. I can't let my brain stop the litigation.
I'm full of faith.
Yeah, I can't.
You see, that's a weird one. It's like, I'm not particularly religious, but I'm...
Right.
An example is like, I play football, soccer every week, right? Play here.
Still?
Yeah, still. The knees are...
Trevor.
We're trying our best here, John. We're trying... You don't play at all. Yeah.
Once you hit 60.
You said this to me about 40, by the way.
Once you hit 40.
No, I still play. And I joke, one of my best friends now I met playing soccer here in New York at Pier 40. And we have this team. It is like the United Nations. I mean, Algerians, Nigerians, Ghanaians, French, South Africans, Moroccans, Australia, you name it, they're on this team from everywhere around the world, every walk of life. And we played together. And my friends know I love being on the team that is considered dysfunctional and useless, because I have faith that every player is trying to do the right thing.
Right.
I genuinely believe in it. And I've noticed that sometimes what will happen is a player will be on the other team. They will do something that they thought would go well.
Right.
They try to cross the ball.
Right.
They try to shoot. They try to pass. They try to tackle. They fail. And their teammates will treat them like they are against them. And I have such an allergic reaction to this, because I go, no, we are on the same team. Right. Are we on the same team? Yes. What were you trying to do there? Were you trying to kick it into our goals?
Right.
No, you were not.
Of
All
course
right.
you were. Next
time, then angle your foot. And if the person's receptive, I go, we made a mistake. Let's move on.
Yes.
I don't think liberals do that, to be honest with you. I think there's like there's a real like, not only are you out, you're on the other team.
Right.
Which is even crazier to me. Imagine playing a game, John. Imagine playing a sport.
But every
time your wide receiver drops a catch, every time your point guard passes the ball out of bounds, not only do you bench them to the other team. That is an unsustainable way of growing a coalition.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't encourage people.
The only thing that because,
and again, grace is the key thing.
Have that litmus test. Like if I'm looking at, so I'm thinking about the right now, and before I grant them the redemption arc, I think about the vindictiveness of the Trump era, that there's very little of it. There are really no deadly sins in the Trump era in terms of that. When you talk about faith, and he can be convicted of this, or he can, and evidence of unfaithfulness and sexual harassment, all these different things. And he's an imperfect vessel.
Yes.
But the one cardinal sin is fealty, is if you're not loyal enough.
You're not wrong.
So they do have
you're not. That's where religion comes back in.
Right.
Thou shalt have no other God but me.
That's right.
That is
But that places him beyond the scope of redemption and into the pantheon. Because there was a part of me that thought, oh, it is true. Like, I've been involved in some liberal movements. Like, we have a rescue farm, so I was involved in animal rights.
I remember when you were
we met some of those
chasing
folks.
A
bull, Frank.
Let me tell you.
His name is Frank.
Let me tell you something, John.
Out in Brooklyn, Red Hook.
You know, this is what I love about our lives, is that whether you intended it or not, we are forever intertwined.
Yes.
We are trees that have branches that have met, and we continue to grow in different directions. But we'll always have those branches that connect us. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I'm at the Daily Show, and I start getting text messages, all concerned but in different ways. Some saying, is Jon Stewart okay? What is happening to Jon Stewart? And I remember like some people going, genuinely, some people thought you were having your snap moment.
Yes.
Your run down the street naked. Because all some people saw was
shaved the head.
Jon Stewart running down.
Yeah, we were out along a bull had gotten loose.
Yes.
And
from where, by the way?
That's an excellent question, Trevor. I try not to ask those that the bull, I don't know where he came from necessarily.
Okay, because I was like, I don't see bulls in New York.
It's sort of like they're like brothels. They're there. You don't know the address.
Okay.
Slaughterhouses are the same way.
Got it.
There's a lot of festivals going on where they're going to need a lot of goats, and they're going to need them fast, and they don't necessarily want them inspected. So Frank had gotten away from one of these slaughterhouses and was running apparently.
Frank's the bull.
Frank's the bull.
Okay, got it.
He got out. Now he's being chased, and it's always that news story. A bull running through Brooklyn.
Yes.
Well, I never. It's a local news catnip. It's also catnip for my wife, who looks at me and looks at our trailer and goes, if we leave now, we can get to Brooklyn in an hour and 15 minutes.
Or leave where? New Jersey?
Leave our farm. We can get there. And if they catch Frank, we can get him and we can take him to a sanctuary. We can get him so that he's not hamburgered. So,
I'm assuming this is an animal trailer. It's like a specific.
It's a Datsun. It's a 4-door. So as long as you no, it's a trailer. Yes. Look, I had to learn all this shit too. And by the way, like driving a trailer in New York City it's no easy game.
It doesn't seem like fun.
Like it's fucking gigantic. It's attached to we had a pickup. So it's attached to the pickup. So you are 25, 30 feet of vehicle. And they don't necessarily move together, and backing it up is a giant pain in the ass. We get out there they finally corral this bull and they bring him in, and we are able to get to the facility where they're holding him. They're holding him at like a dog shelter. Like he's literally in one of the crates and able to back through and call the different arrangements, and maybe you try not to pay the people that the bull has escaped from, because that's considered anathema for the movement or whatever.
Okay. So,
but we get him. There's a bull in our trailer, and I've got to drive him through the Lincoln Tunnel. And it's just, he's not a happy bull.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't, you can't say to him like, buddy, you don't understand.
Things are going to get better, Frank.
Shits are about to get so good for you.
You don't understand how good we are for you, Frank.
But I have to tell you, in terms of personal satisfaction, off the charts. Off the charts.
It is like the peak of, dare I say, manliness. throughout time, John.
If you had seen
if
me while we were trying to get him into the trailer, I think you would have. Manliness
it doesn't
didn't
matter.
come to mind.
Humankind is defined by the moments where we have captured large beasts.
But I think to ride or eat, not to take to a park.
Still for me.
All right.
You get to say, well, I captured a wild bull.
That's right.
In the streets of Brooklyn. But let's go back to what you're saying about the Republic. You said you've dealt with some groups. I'll preface it with this.
Yeah.
One of my greatest joys about getting to go back to South Africa and spend more time there and come back to the US, and I live in New York, but I spend time there. Is that it's reminded me to wire my brain differently, right? Mm-hmm. If you live somewhere and if you've experienced something the way it has always been, you think that that's the way it is.
Yes.
Right? I find the more you travel, and this is even with languages, the reason I like learning languages is because they remind me that the order of words is only what I've been told. You are here with me today.
You believe reality has a certain order, but it does
completely.
not.
And in another language, it is today is you here with me. And it's like, that's fine.
That's fine too.
Right? One of the big ones I realized for me personally was in South Africa, we spend more time, I would argue, most people spend more time shitting on their political party than they do thinking about like the other, you know what I mean? And I think to what you're saying, and we've both gotten flack for it in different ways.
Sure.
There's a certain allergic reaction that you get in America when you do that. And this I can argue Republican or Democrat. There's like a betrayal.
Oh, no question.
How could you? Do you understand that we are at war right now?
Yes.
How dare you? How you are undermining? And you go like, no. I'm saying, we come back to the analogy of sports. Hey, we need to pass the ball. If LeBron says to his team, guys, we're not defending, and someone says, whoa.
What are you talking about? What are you playing for them?
Playing for them now? What are you, a Celtic now? What do you mean when and it's like, no. I don't know that's have you found a solve for that? Or do you just take it on the chin and you keep it moving?
I think you take it on the chin and you keep it moving. I mean, I think the way that I try and
like you made Biden old.
I know. But by mentioning it, I handed the election to Donald Trump.
You did, John.
I believe his niece, Mary Trump, referred to me after that as a threat to democracy.
Huh.
Which I thought was an appropriate level of threat assessment. It's one of those things. So there's two things to it. One is we both operated kind of artisanal shit talkeries. Like that is what we do. That's what I do. I have an opinion. I try and frame it within a certain comedic tableau. Yeah. So when people want to talk shit back, I don't have a whole leg to stand on to be like, what?
Yeah.
How dare you talk shit to the man who just talked shit about the thing that I wanted to talk shit about? The second part of it, though, is the reptilian nature of people when they feel that fear. They're very comfortable attacking who they think are the other team.
Yes.
And they think that if you give them any solace, they don't view it as that might be a constructive lens by which to view, like a stand-up comic. What's the worst thing that a stand-up comic can be? Fragile. If the audience is worried for the comic,
that's
you're not going to listen to it. Well, that's what Biden was in that moment. He would come out, and I don't care who you were, like you were worried.
No, you were.
You felt it viscerally. Mentioning that as a way of maybe saying to people, either A, prove that this is the wrong emotion that I'm feeling, or B, get someone in there that has the wherewithal to take on this. I would think would be viewed constructively, but it was viewed utterly destructively. In terms of it bothering me, like nobody likes to be yelled at a lot, but I think I've been doing it long enough that the thickness of the skin, like I don't dwell on it in maybe the way I would have when I was younger. But the second part of it is I remember the war on terror. I like America in that fight over Al-Qaeda. Big fan. But I criticized America quite frequently. That doesn't mean I wanted Al-Qaeda to win. Or that doesn't mean that it means that I hold my beliefs and the people that I want to carry the flag for that to a very high standard. And that standard, if not met, I think in the same way that I try to hold myself to a high standard.
Yeah.
And when failing to live up to it, I'm very critical and try and grant that forgiveness. But the point being, if you love something, if you believe in the idea of something, you have to stress test it. It's like anything else, man. What's the toughest part about comedy is it's not the writing, it's the rewriting.
Yeah.
It's the editing.
Yeah.
And why do you do that? You do that because you think you can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole of it. And to have that viewed as the antithesis of that as though that's sabotage, I think is so wholly wrongheaded that I don't even know what to make of it. The whole, like, you both sidesers it. You're saying they're the same. I'm not saying they're the same at all. And anybody who watches me with any discernment over the course of, forget about one episode, over a career, would know that.
Don't go anywhere, because we got more What Now after this.
Did it surprise you that at The Daily Show, there are so many fail-safes of fairness and context? Yeah. Like, that's what people say. You guys take everything out of context. Like, have you met Chads? Like, Adam Chaliga, who's the guy who does our research, he's been there forever. He's an institution at the show.
These are the credentials of Adam Chodikoff. Chads was the keynote speaker at the World Fact Checkers Conference. These are the levels we're talking about. Like,
yes,
this is a person
Chads we trust.
Yes, and this is a person where, and you know as well as I do, like, if you work or host The Daily Show, you will at some point have to fight with this man.
That's right.
And
he will say, you can't really say that because the source that's coming from.
Man, let me tell you something.
In truth, that's a liberal, you can't trust that fact.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
But what he really taught me, more than most human beings, he taught me how to deconstruct data. He taught me how to deconstruct information. He taught me how to make the argument stronger as opposed to relying on the first instinct of the argument.
That's right. And when he says that, you don't say to him, what are you, both sidesing it? You're playing for the other team. No, he's challenging you to be better.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They thrive in spaces where you can say whatever you want and intimidate others into acquiescence or silence. Where they don't thrive are places where there are evidentiary standards and litigation and proceedings, right? Mm-hmm. An interview is a place of where someone's going to ask you real questions, is a place of evidentiary standards and litigation. So that's not a comfortable space for them.
Yeah.
Because they have a goal in mind and they want to get there. How else can they be? George Soros is the most evil man in the world because he spends millions of dollars influencing elections, and say it with a straight face. How in the world, if you say to them, look, the bureaucracy is not the issue with our government. These are individuals, oftentimes really committed, really smart, working to execute the wishes of the Congress. By you demonizing them, you're the guy yelling at the Southwest Airlines counter, right?
Not realizing it's corporate,
But they do know. They do it for a purpose. They need scapegoats to get. So if you say to them, you're the Department of Efficiency, but you've just cut 20% of this, what are the metrics that you use to determine waste, fraud, and abuse? And their response is always the same. Oh, looks like the gravy train stopped running.
Yeah.
Looks like you don't want this gravy train. And you're like, that's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, show us transparently why this is more efficient. Their response is always straw man demagoguing because they don't want to litigate the reality of it. They just want to steamroll to the vision of the world where if you say DEI, they go, oh, so you don't want a meritocracy. Well, when did we have a fucking meritocracy? Honestly. Like when has hiring ever not been subjective and done by people that are more comfortable with people kind of like themselves? And by the way, getting back to the stereotype argument, like, and we should have grace for that. Anybody who's ever been in a high school cafeteria knows there's a lot of self-sorting that goes on in the world.
Gladwell was on the podcast. He had a brilliant analysis of that. And he said, people are quick to talk shit about DEI. And whether you're for it or against, I've never liked the label of it. And I don't like the intention, because I go, you're not saying we're going to widen the aperture to catch those we've missed. We're not going to watch the South African comedian and just put him in the pile.
Yes.
Because I could have been shit. And you watched it and you went like, good luck to that kid.
Here's what I could have said. You know what we need? A black guy. Oh, wait, that guy's an actual African black guy? Wait, black guy, I think, is 3 points. African black guy, I think that might be 7 points.
You see? But it's the aperture. And I think that's where people make the mistake. If you're actually trying to make sustainable change, you try and look at what you're missing, right? If you don't, you look at the labels of what you're missing to try and fill up the gaps. But what he talked about was, and I mean, it was so brilliant, classic Gladwell. He went, everyone talks shit about who gets universities. Oh, these black kids are getting in, and these kids is because of, admissions that have lowered the bar. He goes through the sports that get you scholarships. And he goes, lacrosse. Fencing.
Ice hockey.
Ice skating.
Squash.
And he's like, who chooses these sports?
Yeah.
Who chooses which sport gets you into a college? If you're really slick at what you do, you get around saying the thing, but you make sure you're doing the thing.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You find a way to go, oh yeah, let's do.
You have an outcome.
That's where, to be honest with you, that's where I think the Democrats are shitty, actually.
No question.
I actually think Democrats as like politicians are shitty.
The Republicans are Malcolm X by any means necessary. However they have to get it. And they've got a plan. And the Democrats
You know what I just thought of? Sorry. Someone's going to clip that line.
The Democrats
are Republicans are Malcolm X. Someone's going to clip that and they're just going to put it up like, you see, even Jon Stewart knows. We're the ones trying to free the people. The Republicans, you see? And they're going to play you again. The Republicans are Malcolm X. The Republicans are Malcolm X.
The Republicans are Malcolm X. And the Democrats are a black square on their Facebook page. There's a performance to it. The Democrats are the audacity of hope and the governance of timidity. Like it's the timidity of what's possible as opposed to what should be done, right? So those two things, it's not a fair fight. So with DEI, the way I try and talk about it now is in economic terms. Don't think about it as women, black people, poor people, veterans. Think of it as emerging markets.
Oh, I love that.
If you're a businessman, who doesn't want to exploit emerging markets?
That's hilarious.
That's how it's.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
But what they'll do to that is, again, they'll straw man it. Oh, so you don't care who flies the planes as long as they're black. It's like when they say, can a black man be president? You're like, Barack Obama, yes. Mr. T, probably not as easily. Like there's discernment. But what they're looking for is to look at where are places, because what does that do when you start to build up these supply lines that have withered? It increases competition. It increases the meritocracy. It doesn't decrease it. And they like to pretend that hiring decisions in the good old days, that was merit. People didn't hire their friends or their friends' sons or some good old boy that they played golf with at the club. No, it was all merit. And I don't know if you remember, but the world worked perfectly then.
That's one of the biggest things I try and explain to people about Elon Musk, Peter Thiel to a lesser extent, but still the boys who came from South Africa.
Oh God, that's right.
Yeah, they've all been touched. I'm fascinated by it because I don't think it's coincidence that these guys have all lived in and around apartheid South Africa,
right,
and have now gone into the world and are starting to export.
With a vision of how it should be.
Yeah. And many of the elements sound exactly like apartheid South Africa. And what you're saying now is one of the biggest slights that a lot of white people felt in South Africa. The ones who weren't honest, because a lot of the honest ones were great about it. But the ones who weren't honest would go, you used to be able to get a job in this country. And I remember asking my mom once, I was very young, and I said, Mom, I asked her, she would always say shame. This is what she'd say. We'd be at the traffic lights and there'd be a homeless person, black, but the white one, she'd always say shame. And I said to her one day, I said, Mom, you give money to both, but you always say shame when you give it to the white homeless guy. Why? And she said, you know why, baby? Because they don't know how to be poor. And I was like, damn, that's harsh. And she said, and I was like, what do you mean by that? She said, it's not just that they don't know how to be poor, Putti, but they've been told that the world was supposed to work a certain way.
Yeah.
And now that it's not working that way, I can't imagine what it feels like. She says, but as black people, we've been told that our job is to suffer. And so we suffer, honey. We suffer and we try to not suffer, but we believe as black people, which means we suffer, we are suffering. And she said, so I feel so bad for them because the only thing worse...
Right. They should have worked out for them.
She says, the only thing worse than being in a bad position is being in a bad position when you were told that there was no bad position.
Right. That you were the default inheritor of the kingdom.
And now you go to your point. It's because of the DEI. It's because now we're going to see with young men, women are going to get jobs. Oh, it's because they're women. It's like, no, they study more.
Happened. All these women start going to college, Title IX, all that, and all of a sudden they start kicking the shit out of men academically, and everybody's like, see the terrible trials and tribulations of the American male, and you're like, right, because now there's competition.
Yeah. And competition in the thing, by the way, that we were never better at them at. We were never better than women at academics. This is, every study that has shown it is like men, brain, throw, run, catch. Very good. Very good. No, we can't. There's some of us who can concentrate, but for the most part, man, brain, like, young boys shouldn't be in class early in the day.
Right.
They say if a school was designed perfectly, it would be boys would go in.
Yeah.
All they would do is run. Just run nonstop.
For at least an hour.
Just run like crazy.
Right.
Then they would learn.
Right.
Whereas girls can go straight to learn. So the irony in all of it for me is they were always going to kick ass academically because that is what their brain is designed for.
Right.
They just weren't allowed into it before, So now you go, oh, why are they suddenly? It's like, they just weren't allowed to compete.
The exclusion has to be set up as the default setting. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And I think also the other argument that goes through there is how can you punish people who didn't create this system in the first place but just benefited from it? And bringing this back to South Africa, so that's something that, Elon is now on a thing in other countries. He wants to tell AFD and Germany it's time to get over the guilt.
Oh, he's doing it fully. We're going to give them refugee status. We're going to bring them all over.
Yes.
And for like half a day, there were a few white South Africans who were like, yeah, this is great. And then they said refugee, and then people explained what that would mean. It's like you just leave your shit, you lose your citizenship, and you just come to America.
Right. And get temporary status.
And like within a day and a half, some of the biggest Afrikaner organizations came out and they were like, hey, we actually like it here.
I don't know if you know, we own like 70% of the farm.
They were like, look, we don't want to be rescued. We just, I think what you need to understand is it's not about rescuing us per se. It's like the analogy
just
I had in my head.
Recognizing we're the real victims of apartheid.
There you go, my friend.
So what do you do?
There you go. You know what it felt like to me? It felt like people on a cruise ship sending out SOSs saying that they were refugees. And then the helicopter flying in going, wait, you on the slide? Are you?
Look at the buffet. You're not a refugee.
Wait, what? And you're like, I thought you were oppressed. And they're like, yeah, they said it closes at 10 and now it closes at 9. It's like, wow, I don't think that's oppression. I think it just got a little, yeah.
So what do they do with advantage like that? Do the white South Afrikaners now need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Do they need to go and cry and go, sometimes now when I go places, people look at me funny?
I think, to be honest with you, to go back to what we've been saying about social media, to go to what we're saying about dialogue, discourse, etc.
Right.
And I do put a lot of this blame at the feet of social media. And I think the media got so addicted to the teat of social media that it started creating...
It follows the same circadian rhythms.
1,000 people tweet, Jon Stewart offended me. Trevor Noah is an anti-Semite. The news picks it up,
right? That's
makes it a thing, then brings it back this way.
That's right.
And then now the social media gets bigger than the news goes. It's similar to weapons of mass destruction. oh, we heard there were weapons. The New York Times said there were weapons. We must invade because of the weapons. But it's like, wait. But this is...
Right.
Where's the
but
loop?
you were the guys who told them there were weapons.
You see.
Right.
So I think in that... So I think there are many... I'm lucky that I get to see them. There are many white South Africans who go, this is bullshit. We now live in a democracy. Things got fair. And I'm still in a much better position. Even if I'm poor, I'm in a better position than the average black South African in terms of poverty, access to work, whatever. But the voices, John, the thing that I get particularly pissed off about is that there's an insidious voice that knows that this can be used to destabilize so that someone can be enriched.
That's the whole purpose.
So you see Elon Musk? Show me a single cause that Elon Musk is supporting that does not, in the end, benefit him financially. Then I will go, okay, maybe he does have a value. Where's he fighting in Europe? Predominantly, Germany. Where's the place where he's come up against some of the biggest union violations and workers' rights and what
did he get rid of in the government? All the agencies that were regulating his businesses.
So...
No, you're dead right. The question is going to be not enough to say that the exclusionary structures of society are no longer operational. How do you repair them in a manner that is still equitable, right? Mm-hmm. So South African, I don't know at all. But if 70% of the farms are still owned, right?
Yeah, they are.
By white people, you can't just walk in and eminent domain it. You can't just walk in and go, well, it should be 70-30 the other way.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to do. So what do you do? How do you repair systems without being punitive to those who may not have had a hand in all of that? And is that the key? It's sort of like, look, we can all at the beginning of every government meeting honor the indigenous peoples that came before us, but nobody's giving the land back.
Mm-hmm. So I go again. Visiting another reality with your eyes open makes you realize that there is no one reality.
Right.
Now, if you suggested that
Shared
in
prosperity.
Can you imagine if you said to Americans, hey, let me ask you a question. All 330 something million of you, this is your country. Why is it that the oil underneath it can belong to one person?
Right.
He has his straw, and he drinks your
I drink your milkshake.
And he drinks your milkshake. Why is that allowed? And someone will be like, no, because you know how hard it is to drill, and you got to get them. And I go, yeah, I get all of that. But I'm just saying, acknowledge that you've accepted a reality. You know when you'll realize it is when you follow its ultimate conclusion. Water. Like if you said, okay, Trevor, I'll give you some oil. I'm like, what do I do with oil? I don't know what to do with oil. But water now, the same trajectory has started moving, right? Now, more and more water is owned by corporations.
Yes.
And slowly, the municipal water supplies are getting shittier. They're not looked after as well. Now your tap water is not as drinkable.
Getting saltier.
Yeah, less and less American water is, which by the way, it was the A standard. A lot of people may not know this. And a lot of people may take it for granted because they've always been drinking the water from the tap. It's not normal everywhere in the world.
Right.
Quality goes down. At some point, you have to buy bottled water. At some point, you have to buy water. But no one goes, where does the water come from? Right. Why are we even paying for it? And people go, but Trevor, you got to understand. Then I go, okay, let's play this game and go to the ultimate conclusion. What if I found a way to extract oxygen from the air? What if I found a way? What if I made a machine that could suck all breathable oxygen out of the air? And I now had it in my machine. I had it in my machine. And
no one else has it. You've cornered the market.
I've cornered the market.
Breathable air.
I've cornered the market. Let's say the machine's it's not perfect. Right now, it can only do like a 100-block radius.
Right.
But in that 100-block radius, I have all the breathable air.
Yeah.
Do you think my neighbors would agree with the notion that they should now pay me to breathe? Would that not be reasonable, John? I worked hard for this oxygen. I extracted it.
And yet if you did it a month later, it would just be the way it is.
When people go, you buy oxygen.
Yeah, you buy oxygen.
The NOAA Corporation, they're
And
number one providers.
You would develop.
We do have a baseball league for kids who are from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Absolutely.
I hope you know that. We sponsor the baseball league.
And we have a line of blueberry acai oxygen for the very rich people.
I know I got to let you go at some point, but if you had a magic wand, what's one thing you think you'd change? I know one thing won't change it all, but in this moment in time,
I would use it to make more magic wands.
You see, this is why you're brilliant.
Well, the temptation is always with the magic wand is to go global and to do the whole, and we all have a world of plenty. It's an Eden where, and this time in the Eden, we decide, how about this? Let's just not plant an apple tree. Maybe the whole idea is if we don't put the apple tree, the Eden doesn't get spoiled. So I will not take the easy way out, which would be to wave the magic wand as a panacea, because I think it just doesn't. There's probably nothing for us to have insight with. There's not much of a meal in that. If I just, what would you do? And it would just be like ice cream and pizza, Trevor. That's what I would do. I think what I would focus on is information ecosystems, because ultimately people are creatures of free will, and that's the joy of humanity. And so to steal the free will with a magic wand almost makes this entirely an exercise in the good place where you're in somewhere and you're bored. There is a beauty in the not knowing. There's a beauty in the finite nature of all that we have. And there's a beauty in the resourcefulness that is necessary because life is fucking hard. It's hard. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that I would wish for is not an instruction manual, but an information ecosystem that allowed those who would wish to access it and see it to be able to make those decisions about their future and about the future.
I hear what you mean, yeah.
With the good data.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not the data that's been co-opted and warped.
I'm with you.
Because ultimately, the machine's only as good as the input. And so I would probably, with my magic wand, want to clean the inputs so that we'd still fuck up, we'd still make terrible mistakes, but at least we'd all be working off of the good data.
I like that. I have a friend who works at the United Nations, and I was saying, what is different in how you see the world versus how other people see the world? And this person said, I know the UN's not perfect and it's fallen apart in many ways, and but they said the one thing I do appreciate is at the UN, we get our news from primary source.
Yeah.
Almost everyone in that building gets the news from where the news actually happened.
Right.
And they were saying how you'll be shocked at how different it shapes how like a simple example was I think it was like the US at some point they proposed you know all these English words. I'd lose. I think it was like a treatise to a ceasefire or a preemptive.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a referendum.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
And then the American news reported and said, America has supported a ceasefire, and everyone in the UN was like, no. No one knows what that sentence means.
Yeah.
You said ceasefire, but you put, but because they had primary source, they saw it. And I feel like, would you ever do something like that? Would you ever go into something organizational, or would you? I mean, people have asked you, you'd never run for president, right?
Run for president? Sure, let's do it. Let's do it tomorrow. Me and Stephen A. Smith.
I mean, you could. That's a winning ticket.
Anybody could.
That's a winning ticket, by the way.
I think,
That's a hell of a winning ticket, John.
Somewhere. I'm not sure where. Basic cable. But
you don't think you and Stephen A. Smith could win the presidency?
No, I don't.
Huh.
I don't. I think we could win the news that week.
Huh.
We would win the news that week.
Someone's been chasing bulls for too long. I don't know, Jon Stewart. I don't know, my friend.
If you had asked me the magic wand question 30 years ago, in the era that I was in, that we talked about earlier, my answer would have been, I think I would have hot and cold running cocaine and blowjobs. And that'll probably disqualify me from him.
I think it makes you the perfect candidate.
Thank you.
Flawed and evolved, and can I tell you, you look happier.
I am happy.
You look young. You look backward. Now you've Benjamin Buttoned.
You know, when you leave.
Yeah.
And then the once a week.
I mean, that's
you
the dream.
get.
Can I tell you, Joe? I feel like you walked so that I could run, and then I ran so that you could fly, my friend.
Yes.
You are flying once a week. John Stewart, thank you for the time.
Such a pleasure to see you.
Truly a joy, my friend. Thank you.
Right.